welcome Amber. Amber has been a practicing Kemetic for 7+ years and started her priestess path with Set just a few years ago. Other than Kemeticism, Amber enjoys playing video games with her husband and younger brother and spending time with her 2 kitties. She is also an artist and enjoys making jewelry and other pieces of the for the Necheru. So welcome Amber, yay!
Thank you.
So I am gonna pull up if you don't mind, for people who may have not been here for your first lecture, giving a brief explanation of what Kemeticism is for anyone who might not know, if you can.
So I'll try. It's basically just the modern version of practicing the ancient Egyptian religion. That's just what we do. And Perfect. It depends on the practitioner, it depends on the person and how they go about doing that too. So
perfect. All right. I'm making sure that you can see the screen. All right. You should be able to see that. Oh, why does this do this? I realize this is now because I changed it.
No, you're fine.
Because I changed
I also have it on my screen too, so if that helps.
Okay. I just have to make you, essentially when I share the screen with you, it makes your camera very small, so I just have to, make it big. And I purposely made it small for my last stream, thinking, oh, I don't need that again. No, I did. Okay. Now I'm re-putting you back into the same little box so that people can see you. Okay, so whenever you are ready, feel free to start and you can tell me when to switch sides.
Okay. Hi guys.
Amber's nervous, but don't make her nervous.
I am kind of
She's already
nervous.
done this before.
I have, and I'm such an anxiety-filled little bun, and it's alright. Once I get started, everything will be fine.
Perfect.
I probably will mispronounce some of these names, just so you know. It took me so long to it took me so long to learn how to say Hatshepsut. So
yeah, and that's the other thing is I've given up with a lot of names where it's I could say it more Egyptian, and I've given up sometimes. It took me actually the entirety of my grad school, I had a tongue twister where I couldn't say Tutankhamun. I don't know what happened. I couldn't say it. I would slip up after Tut, and I didn't know what to do about it, so I just would say Tut. It seems to have come back in, but it is totally fair.
That's great. Awesome. I'm in a safe space.
Thank you, Charlie, for resubscribing, and thank you, Baha, for resubscribing earlier.
Yes.
Yay. All right.
Okay.
You go,
girl. Are you guys ready? You ready?
We're ready.
You're ready?
Oh.
I absolutely love my covers, by the way. I'm really proud of them.
I know. I'm genuinely you full designed this, right? You're a designer.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm extremely jealous. It was very cool.
I had so much fun making them. Especially the later ones, in the pop culture stuff.
Yeah, your PowerPoint
really
game is on fleek, which ages myself, but we're gonna keep on moving on.
You're fine. I appreciate you. Okay, so welcome, guys. We're going to talk about Set. He is my Roman Empire, just so you guys know. He really is.
Yeah, he really is for you. That makes sense.
Yeah. But yeah, we are going to start off by giving hopefully it's not really that brief, but I tried to make it as brief as I could, history of him. So, yeah.
Claire, we're going to get into that, but I will, after we do the little intro, we'll catch up to make sure we've answered those, but I know you cheated. You're getting ahead of yourself, but it's fine. Those are three very, very good questions that I want to know the answer on, because I want to know, I know some things, I know some theories, we'll say, but I don't know everything.
All right. So, Set. He before whom the sky shakes. He is the god of storms, desert, war, chaos, and order. Gab and mute. Uh-oh.
Sorry, it just paused a second. You're fine.
Nope, you are fine. And he's the husband of Nebatet, making him part of the Aeneid of Iono. He has many myths and stories, but is most famously known for his part in the Usir myth that came into Egypt during the Old Kingdom.
Right. Next slide.
Did that go through?
That did go through. Yes, you're good.
Good. Awesome.
You're good.
I gotta go.
And Paranoid Polaroid, you are correct. This is not a set theory on what set is. It's a very good joke. Very good.
I do all kinds of jokes with this name too.
So I was gonna say, I feel like there's a lot of potential.
There is. So, Set is a pre-dynastic deity who may have gotten his start as a desert god who the Egyptians would pray to for safe passage through the desert. Pre-dynastic Egyptians traversing through the dangerous desert environment would seek to placate by worshipping the deity of that dangerous land to ensure the safe passage to and from the gold mines and the Red Sea coast. That comes from Dr. Ian Robert Taylor in his thesis Deconstructing Iconography of Seth. And however, according to Dr. Philip John Turner in his thesis, Seth, a misrepresented god of the Egyptian pantheon, ? He states that the lack of written evidence could mean that much of the conclusions on Set during this time are speculative. We do see him on things such as the scorpion mace head and a hair comb with the Set animal depicted on them from this time period, and some even believe that the pieces depicting hippos and crocodiles are tied to him due to his associations with the animals. There are a few scholars who believe that these pieces point to Set already being worshipped during the pre-dynastic period, establishing him as a kingly deity of Upper Egypt.
If people don't know what this piece is, it's a very famous piece. It's called the Scorpion Mace Head because it has King Scorpion on it because we don't have a name other than Scorpion. It's pre-dynastic so weird. It's like we have the hieroglyphs, we have the very early versions of hieroglyphs, but we don't have how they were supposed to pronounce it. We don't know how that. So all we have is a hieroglyph of a scorpion, and thus he is Scorpion King. And he is the Scorpion King, if anybody's asking. He is the Scorpion King that is in the Mummy movie, supposedly.
Yes.
The Scorpion King in the Mummy movie is technically based off the Scorpion King, Dwayne, yeah. Dwayne the Rock.
Dwayne.
Yeah, it's not a pot. It's a stone. It's a mace head. So there would have been a hole directly through it, and you would have put a stick in it, and it's literally you hit people with it. But this is like a decorative one, so it wouldn't have been used for actual fighting. The decorative ones are obviously ceremonial in certain ways. But yes, for thumping, exactly.
King Dwayne.
King Dwayne. That's a really bad name for a king. I hope no one ever names their prince Dwayne. Prince Dwayne sounds really bad too. I don't know what type of stone it is. It's probably maybe limestone or some kind of granite. Limestone. Hate to say it. The Egyptian stones, you got limestone, you got sandstone, and you got different colors of granite. So it's one of those. I don't think it's sandstone. Sandstone is particularly weak.
Yeah.
But limestone is also... Oh, and alabaster. Don't forget alabaster. I think that's a type of one of those stones, though. I can't remember which one. But, yeah. But there he is. He's right here, and you can kind of see the little scorpion next to him. But yeah. Oh, there it is. Little set.
It's so cute. I love
it so much. That one's very, very cute. Yeah, I will say.
Some of them are really cute, and I can't help but just be like, yes, I love this, and then I just save the pictures of them. So we'll move on into the early dynastic, and during the early dynastic, we see the unification of Egypt take place where Narmer united the two lands. Some scholars believe that the contendings of Set and Heru were based upon these conflicts between Upper and Lower Egypt. Upper Egypt being Set's land and Lower Egypt being Heru's, and then Newberry had considered that a Set rebellion during the second dynasty, where Peripsen, which is the picture Pictured.
Pictured.
English.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Who was a strong follower of Set, took the throne in the name of Set and replaced the falcon with the Set animal on the Seraph. While KACHOW had put both the falcon and the Set animal on his Seraph to reconcile the two opposing factions. Other scholars believe that the contendings were primarily used for story time, basically just to lift spirits and give a taste of humor, considering how childish every Nachiru are in the translations. I can definitely see this as well.
I love
that whole thing.
One, I love KACHOW. I don't know why. KACHOW just rolls right off my tongue. I just love him. But for those who don't know, what a Seraph is, an early, like pre-dynastic and early dynastic way of writing a cartouche, a royal. I'm a royal, like a stamp, pretty much. And you can see it says pair right here, ib, s, n, pair, ib, s, n, pair, ib, sen. So that's an easy one to read. I'm actually surprised because if this is early dynastic, I shouldn't be able to read it that well because it's a totally different language. But that one's pretty simple. And you can see he's a scribe because I got that word. That's the word for scribe. So.
There we go.
He's a scribe of possibly like the two lands or something. I don't know, something like that. But yeah, that's a little set. That's a little set on top.
He's so cute.
He's very. That's a very just nicely drawn piece. I've never actually seen that piece before. National Archaeology Museum in France. I'm gonna have to. I don't know. I haven't been there. That sounds cool.
I want to go. Let's go.
Let's go. Let's go to France. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's make a plan right now.
Road trip.
Road trip.
One day.
one day road trip to France, and then come back.
Yes.
Because I can't afford that much PTO. I don't got that time.
I'm terrified of flying too, so.
Oh. God, yeah. No, you got a multi-day trip.
Yeah. Oh. I hope I can get over it again just so I can go back to Egypt, but I'll eventually get there.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Just gotta medicate heavily.
Yes.
I'm very glad I do not have that fear.
Oh, I'm glad you don't either, because it's awful.
It's slowly gotten a little bit higher over the years, but I'm glad it's not too high that I could not go. I just honestly though, my noise canceling headphones are have made it so much easier, which I didn't realize. I was oh wow, it's so quiet, and I just wear them the entire time. Even if I'm not listening to music, I just wear them, which is lovely.
Yes. I always listen to music while I'm on there, so
yeah, me too.
It helps me. Okay, now we're going to move into the Old Kingdom, and during the Old Kingdom, the pyramid texts we see Set a number of times. The pyramid texts were first seen in the pyramid of Unas and continue to be utilized by the kings and queens following him. While Set does appear in a number of these texts, the references to him display a number of contradictions in both with his relationship with other Nachiru and the pharaoh. It could reflect the different stages in development of the myths and stories of Set. In Unas's pyramid, he is written with a Set animal determinative, while in other pyramids, his Set animal was omitted completely and was rather written phonetically. And that was most likely from the changing in religious attitude toward him. Which is a picture of Set in the pyramid of Unas.
Yeah, there we go. I didn't go in that one. I went in the other pyramid. I went into Teddy.
I went into Unas. We went down just fine.
Yeah.
And then on our way up.
Oh no, could you not get out?
And they have a block and then a little bit of an opening where you can stand up straight.
Yeah, yep.
And they have that throughout the incline. And on the way up, I felt somebody grab my arm. And there was nobody in there, so I turned to look and see who grabbed my arm because I thought maybe Sean needed something because Sean was right behind me. And no, it was nobody. And then when I turned to continue to go up, I smacked my head off the pyramid.
No!
So I had this sizable knot on my head for the rest of our trip.
Yeah, no. I think my dad may have knocked his head on it once. I was really trying hard not to. In all the pyramids we went to, I was like, I cannot do this. No, as I was coming down the pyramid of Khufu, my water bottle fell out of my pocket, and it just like started like, and I was like, ah! And I was like trying to get it so it wouldn't just like roll down the entire pyramid. So I was so embarrassed. But
oh my gosh,
yeah. The pyramid of Khufu completely ruined me to go into any other one except pretty much Teddy, which was it's pretty sizable. It's really similar to Unis, and I was like,
yeah,
we're not going to the Red Pyramid, we're not going in the Bent Pyramid because I've heard horrible things about them, and I'm like, no, it'll be another trip. Like,
going in them are really, really difficult.
Yeah.
Going into the Pyramid of Unas, that made us not go into any of Khufu's either. Like, we were just like, now we're good.
Yeah,
we're good.
I was gonna say I didn't obviously go into Unis, but like it's probably 10 times better than Khufu's. Even if it was so bad for you, I'm telling you, Khufu's was like, Teddy's was so easy to go into in comparison. But that's literally why it's the only one that we went into. Like, because I was like, I want to see the pyramid text. Our guide recommended to go to Teddy's, and I was like, yeah, sure, let's go to Teddy's instead of Unis's. I didn't matter which one, but if you think Unis's was bad, you don't go into any other one. It's That's so fair. Small in comparison. You were in Khufu's, like, you're in there for so long.
Oh no, yeah, so that's a good thing we didn't do that.
Yeah, no.
We were good. I might go back into Unas just so I can go back and pay more attention to the pyramid text and see if I can pick out Set's name, but...
Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah, I didn't say much in Teddy. It was just so... Because Teddy is so easy to read. It's just everywhere, and it's like really, really... I was like, oh, Teddy. It's like four glyphs, so it's like really easy to find, and so I kept looking at those, and then we kind of skedaddled.
That's fun. It's always fun whenever you recognize the hieroglyphs and stuff. But...
Alrighty. The second part of the Old Kingdom.
Second part of the Old Kingdom. So, since no single tomb contains all 759 spells with the maximum number being 675, which occur in Pepi II's tomb, Set is mentioned in 133, which is 17.5%. Within these texts, 69 are negative, 20 are positive, and 44 are neutral. The context...
That's so interesting. I've never delved deep into the book, Book of the Dead and all those pyramid spells, so that's very interesting. Huh.
It was interesting for me too, and I'm just sitting there like, oh, why do they have to be so negative?
Yeah. But I think that's a very good way, and I'd wonder if you looked at... I'm assuming the 759, those are those Book of the Dead, or are those pyramid texts? Do you know which specifically? If this is Old Kingdom, I'm assuming pyramid texts.
I do believe they are the pyramid texts.
It would be interesting if you were able to go and check on the differences between the Book of the Dead's text to see if they change over time, and how if more negative spells appear and da 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 da. That would be.
I'll have to check the theses.
Yeah, because and again, I'm not very deep onto the text, and so I don't know how different they change from like the Old Kingdom to the New Kingdom. They might. I'm pretty sure most of them stay very similar, but I'm curious if somebody has done something to look at the differences between how the texts have changed over. I'm sure they have.
I'm sure they had too. I'm laughing at the chat because that's exactly where my mind went to. I was like, yes, 69. Yes, which is... I bought this book that had an article about Set on it. Mm-hmm. And I was thinking this book was going to be like, tiny little thing. No. It's this thick-ass thing. And I'm like, what? Just for this one article, and it does start on page 69, and I'm like, nice.
Girl, I once ordered from Interlibrary Loan when I was in grad school. I ordered a thesis on the game Senate. And I was like, okay, cool, I need this is like a thesis by one of the scholars into it and stuff. I received two like really thick textbooks, hardcover, in which it was only printed on one side of the page, which is why it was 2, and then any photo was a actual photo glued into it. And I'm 99% sure it was like typewriter typed. And I looked at where it came from, which was the University of Chicago, and I literally was like, I think that this is, because that's where he graduated with his thesis, I think this was the university's copy of his thesis that he personally gave to them. That like they then sent to me, and I was like, okay, I guess I'm carrying these books around for 2 weeks. Like, it was very interesting, but I was like, this is like, there's probably 2 copies. He probably has one, and this is the university's copy of this thesis.
That's actually really cool.
It was really cool, but I was really pissed because they were so big, and just like, it was gonna be so annoying to have to carry them around. And at that time I didn't have, like, later when in my grad school year I had like a mini office that I like got to rent from the library so I could keep all my books there. I didn't have that at that time, so if I wanted to read it at school I had to carry them with me everywhere.
Oh no.
I think I left them at home. I think I didn't bother. I was like, I'm only gonna read them at home.
I would probably do the same thing.
I think about that all the time. Those books were wild.
That's actually really funny. I mean, it would have been annoying at the time, but looking back,
I was so buffooned because I was just like, is this what they had to do, like, when they finished a thesis, like, in the 80s? Like, oh my god, I guess that's what they have to do.
Holy shit.
The photos glued into it really, really took me for a loop. I was like, printing existed, didn't it? Like, I was just like so confused. Like, why couldn't this just been a normal book?
That's actually funny. That's great.
Okay. Continue.
44
You were
neutral,
right after
the context.
There we go.
Right. The context in which he depicted in these texts can range from his role as the enemy of Usir and Heru to his role together with Heru as the dual state god of Upper and Lower Egypt. Even though Set was included in tombs, he was confined to be used in hieroglyphic texts, and with the rise of the worship of Usir, the Set animal ceased to be represented. Set may have had more of a personal popularity rather than a state religion during this period. There were occurrences of personal names that included him in them, such as Neferset and Setnubti, and according to John Philip Turner, one could therefore imagine that parents who worshipped Set as a local or personal god could have named their children after him.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. I like this little skinny version of Set.
Yeah.
Which I know sometimes they do in the high-ups. They make them like very, very skinny when they see the animals and stuff, but he's kind of fancy like that.
He's just chilling there.
Yeah.
And then we're going to move on to the first intermediate period, which came with unrest as the collapse of the Old Kingdom's centralized state became apparent. However, unlike the texts from the late period, Set isn't blamed for the situation, most likely because foreigners aren't blamed. The actual people of Egypt are instead. And according to Lichtime? Lichtime.
She's really cool. I like her. She has a lot of she has a series, I think, of 3 volumes of ancient Egyptian literature that she's translated. I just discovered that I actually have volume 2 in my collection of like something I found at the thrift store. So I need to get the other 2.
Yeah, that's lucky.
Yeah,
I can never find
Miriam
anything.
Lichtime, I believe is.
Yes,
she's cool.
Lichtime.
She's a cool Egyptologist.
But according to her, the king maintained that Egypt had nothing to fear from foreigners. The coffin texts came to be during this period as the people of Egypt aspired to be like Usir upon their passing. The pyramid texts were adapted into a series of spells that were inscribed upon the coffins of the deceased. And within these texts, we see Set in 131, with 72 of them being negative, 27 positive, and 32 neutral. So then we see more of them being negative.
Yeah.
Which breaks my heart, by the way.
Yeah.
There is little evidence that Set was worshipped during this time. However, there is evidence that his cult survived through to the Middle Kingdom and onward. He may have been, again, a personal god, but not much is known.
Yeah,
That was the we actually got to go to the Louvre when we went to Egypt by happenstance. And so that was like a picture that I took of one of the coffins that they had.
These coffins. These ones
so
are the
cool.
ones where they would put the body in sideways so that the eyes are staring out of those eyes.
Yeah.
We had a coffin. We actually had a coffin that looks eerily. When this picture came up, I was like, it eerily looks similar to the one that was at my university for a woman named Ibtui. Yeah. No, sorry. Irtu Iru. No, that's the dude. What was the girl's name? Ibwi. Ibwi was her name. There were two mummies, and I would talk to them all the time, like a weirdo, when I was cleaning the galleries.
I would have done the same.
Yeah. Ibwi was the girl, and she was in a coffin like this. But she unfortunately was just bones. She was not really what I would consider a mummy. Like she was just some bones in a box, but she was very lovely. This one was fun because whenever I did tours, I could literally teach the kids how to say the offering spell because it's really obvious on that one. Mm-hmm. Hi Freya, hi Janos. Alrighty. Oh, I love this image.
I was lucky that I found this.
Yeah, that's a good image.
In the Middle Kingdom, we see depictions of Set on thrones of Mentuhotep, which indicate that he wasn't quite abhorred. Slow down, Amber, you got this. Abhorred during this time. Amenemhet legitimized his rule by using literature that mentioned the two mighty ones, Nekhbet and Majet, alongside the two lords Heru and Set in the roles of gods of Upper and Lower Egypt. Set's following was doing well during the Middle Kingdom as kids. As kings. I did that too whenever I was trying to like go through it and read it to myself. I did that too. The kids, you know.
The kids.
Following.
Yeah.
The kids. Amenemhet also had depictions of themselves with Set.
So, just quickly, Amber, do you have somewhere in here where you give some possibilities for what the animal is? Because I have another question there, and if you don't mention it, we can just talk about it now, or if you have it later, we can wait till then.
I actually didn't include that because I figured it would be a question anyway. So.
Yeah. Okay. Do you want to do it now, or do you want to discuss later?
Yeah.
What is your theory? Or what research have you seen, and what is your personal theory? Because to be honest, the big answer to both Claire and Paranoid's answer is we don't know. Like there is not a set. The joke is there is not a set answer for what set is. But I want to hear what Amber thinks and what research has given, because I'm sure those theses have to talk about it.
They do.
Yeah.
A lot of scholars have listed like giraffes, aardvarks, donkeys. A finnick fox has been thrown around.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, that would make sense.
I think I'm trying to think if there's anything other than those four.
No,
there was a scholar.
I think those are the main ones that I remember.
I think those are the main ones, was like those four. A lot of people are like, he's an anteater, but anteaters aren't in Egypt, so that wouldn't be viable. There was a scholar, I forget his name, but he listed a Saluki dog,
which I will fight him on that one, so that's very interesting. Well, so that's very interesting.
Yeah. And it's just because he saw one run, and when it ran, the tail reminded him of Set, and like the ears kind of gave the square off look.
But I feel like if he saw then an image of an ancient Egyptian dog, he would back down from that, because they also look like Salukis are one of the main. If anybody doesn't know, I did my entire thesis on ancient Egyptian dogs and the depictions of them, so I know way too much about this. There are like two different main types of like styles of dogs. There's one that's the Old Kingdom and like the Middle Kingdom, and then there's one that's like in the New Kingdom. And the early ones are closer, they look closer to like a Akita, like pointy ears, very, very tightly curled tail, and kind of thick in the top but thin at the back, and then in the new kingdom, the dogs are most closely related to, interestingly, there is something called a Saluki dog and a Salugi dog with a GHI. One of those, I always forget which one. One of them is a long-haired version of the other. So not the long-haired version, because none of them are depicted with like long hair. They're all depicted with short hair, which I think is the Saluki, but I've seen the name used interchangeably, and they're like, I'm like, no, it's not the long-haired one, because we never. I would love a depiction of a long-haired Egyptian dog, but there is no evidence that there ever was any sort of one. But a lot of people have like compared that to it, but they have lop ears, so they have like ears that sag down, and the long saber-like tail. So like I can sort of understand, but they definitely don't have ears like Set. Like I would say I don't think any dog has ears like Set, but I would assume a pointed-eared dog has ears like Set, at least closer, and that would have been the Old Kingdom like dog that but has a curly tail, so like I don't see where that's going for. I've always kind of leaned towards anteater, because I don't think it's a giraffe, and I don't really think it's a fox, because I've also seen images of foxes, or the other thing is I don't know if you've ever heard this theory, and I don't have any like sources of it, but this is just something that I had heard, that he is potentially a made-up animal. Yeah. Okay, you have heard of that one. Yeah. I don't know any of the deeper specifics of it, but there is a theory that because he is like this god of chaos, he is just a made-up animal. Potentially maybe a combination animal, which obviously has precedent in ancient Egypt with Amet, with Amet being crocodile, hippo, and lion. So like it's possible. I don't know what it would be combined with, because the ears are very square. Like the only thing that I really attribute to that is like the horns on a giraffe, which I think is really probably why the giraffe theory is strong sometimes. But do you have a personal opinion with what you think he might be?
I love that you brought up the made-up animal too, because he's also another animal that is associated with him. Another made-up one is like a griffin. Like they've seen him being with like a line of fantastical creatures like griffins and stuff like that. So that could totally be one. I was thinking like the Saluki dog kind of like sold it for me just because of the body. And there is a red Saluki dog that would be probably exactly like his fur color. Interesting. And
I was gonna say, you associate him with red?
Yes, red is his color, actually.
I'm trying to desperately think if I've ever seen an image of him colorized.
His colors, he was associated with red and gold. He was described as having a lighter toned skin with red hair.
Interesting.
And that's why in a lot of Egyptians would associate people with red hair with Set. So like Seti the First and Ramses the Second having red hair.
Ramses,
yeah.
Interesting.
So they were all like totally associated with Set.
Yeah, sorry. I did mean aardvark, not anteater. I meant aardvark.
Yes.
I forgot there is a difference between those two.
I actually have, funny enough, a little aardvark.
Oh my god, it's so cute.
And I got him because it was just like I never see aardvark like anything, and I knew that aardvarks were one of the animals for Set. I was like, I need this.
It's so cute.
He's just so cute. He's up here on my desk.
Baja, it definitely could be some sort of like extinct. Honestly, I wouldn't say extinct dog species. I would just like say extinct species. See, I guess I've never really seen a colorized version of Set because I feel like I've always associated him with black more often than red, and so I'm still like deep on the. And this is probably just because I'm an art historical brain person, and like, I associate with him. I think I'm pretty sure. My theory is that he's a made up animal, mainly because when you look at the jackal for Anubis, for Inpu, there are no black jackals in Egypt. There is honestly not even really a black jackal species that, like, at all. Like, when you look at, like, the one that is labeled the black jackal, they're like this salt and pepper kind of color. Like, they're not black like Set. And so as it is, we already have, I guess, precedent for, one, combination gods, so potentially combining, like, who knows, this could be the body of a dog or the body of a jackal. It's very similar to a jackal as well, and the head of something else, and that. And we already have precedent for them making up colors for animals. And so, like, associating him with a color that is not associated with an actual animal. So that's always been my theory. And then I know sometimes when he's sitting like this, you can see, like, his tail is like an arrow. Like, it literally looks like an arrow sticking out of it. And I'm just like, that just screams combination animal to me.
That also changes throughout time.
But
too.
Yeah, you're right. It does. It's
and
never the same.
No.
But yeah, so.
Earlier, like, when we look at the depictions of Set in, like, the they look more like a donkey.
Repeat what you just said, because you paused for a brief second.
No, it's okay. You're fine. I don't have any in this PowerPoint. But when you look at, like, more pre-dynastic depictions of Set, he looks more like a donkey. So then at first I was like, okay, well, why is this even a question? He's a donkey.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's totally fine. And then, like, throughout the history of Egypt, he changes, and I'm just like, that's just like Set. Whatever.
Yeah.
Go do you.
Yeah, Claire. He does change. So yeah, that I think it's definitely. I keep forgetting about donkey. I feel like it has to be donkey. I feel like the head has to be donkey, because he does look like he kind of has paws, which wouldn't be donkey. But I'm wondering if now donkey is, like, the head part. But I think it could also make sense that, like, he starts off as an animal, and as time goes on and as he changes, they just change what he looks like. I think that's also commonly acceptable. So. Yeah.
Smite did make him a donkey, which
yes, he did.
He might make a.
But yeah, without knowing too much of this depiction, it literally is. It's the god Set on what we call a standard, which is just a pole with a sign on top of it, saying, "Hey, I'm coming from, like, this estate or this whatever." And the standard has arms, and it looks like they are giving. What could that be? That's probably wheat of some sort to the king. And then in the other hand, he has the Ankh for life and the Usur staff for. It's not stability. It's the other one.
The
prosperity. Wascepter. Yeah.
Power.
For power.
Isn't it for power? Is it for power?
I think it's for power. I'm thinking of the three. I always think it's it's Dominion. It's Dominion. There's Ankh, Was, Jet, which is life, power. No, power and Dominion. No, yeah, you're right. It's power. I'm thinking about the other one I'm thinking of. There's so many, like, little shorthand things that you put after the king's name that I'm getting mixed up in my head.
Some of them are hard to follow.
Yeah, some of them are hard. I was gonna say this is this Amenemhet? Yeah, I think this is, because you can see Amen M. I can't read that close enough, but I think that is Amenemhet. It looks close enough, so we'll say that. Alright, let's go to the second intermediate period, people. We'll answer Claire's other questions, and Paranoid we'll answer your question when we get to the Q&A, because it's a little bit off the beaten path, so. No problem. Alright. Second intermediate period.
The second intermediate period is where we see unrest in Egypt again. The Hyksos rulers snatched Set, most likely because he reminded them of their storm god Baal. I usually view this as Set's first major downfall, as this brought on later repercussions for him by reinforcing Set's associations with all things foreign in the eyes of the Egyptians. That association was subsequently viewed unfavorably following the Assyrian and Persian invasions. However, this didn't occur until the 15th and 16th dynasties. During the 13th dynasty, the list of the Turian kings give us one who was named after Set. There's only 2 records of this king, both in the Museum of Cairo, a stela from Abydos dating to Set's 4th year of ruling, and a lintelled inscription that contains his prenomen, Meribray.
I know, that one's hard.
This one's hard.
Meribray. He's like 3 sections, yeah.
And it's so hard to like put them together when you're talking.
Yeah.
I'll eventually get it, but
I still haven't gotten it, so you're fine.
Yeah. He had a short reign, but even so, this does suggest that during this time, Set was still worshipped.
This is just so interesting because I thought you were going to say that this was like Set's time. Because obviously the Hyksos are worshipping him much more than probably ever was. So it's very, very interesting. But I forgot that you're right. He does get that thing that he is the chaos. The chaos is the outside world. The chaos is all the foreign things. That is very interesting. And yes, everyone laughs at me whenever I do a video on TikTok where I say Abydos, and everyone's like, "Isn't it Abydos?" And I'm like, "No, it is not Abydos." So that's how they pronounce it. That's how they pronounce it in Stargate. I know you haven't watched Stargate because I did read that slide.
Yeah.
How I haven't watched Stargate. I've only watched the first the movie of Stargate. I haven't watched this TV series. Yeah. Apparently they pronounce it Abydos, and it sounds stupid to me. So you say it the way you want to say it, but not Abydos.
I say it Abydos.
Abydos. Abydos. You are perfect.
No, I say it.
I mean, this is a hot take that I just like. It's like, I hate to say it, it's like if other Egyptologists pronounce things differently and like if comedicists pronounce things differently, that's fine. But if a TV show pronounces something differently and they're telling me to correct myself, that's not true. I don't have to listen to them.
I feel that.
It should be the opposite way around. That's not how this works. So they also, I think, spell it with an I. I think they spell it Abidos. Which is like, really? No. Like Abydos. No. Incorrect. I am very sassy about the Abydos because people keep commenting it in my TikTok. I'm like, you're wrong. You're the wrong one. It is the same spelling. Okay, good. I think I thought maybe because of how it was pronounced it had a different spelling, but okay.
Okay. No, that would bother me too if I was sitting there watching that and they were like, Abydos? No. That would bother me.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Yeah.
Right. I'm not gonna rant on that either.
No, we're good. Everyone got my little shouting match with Claire, and that's it.
We got it. More second intermediate period. The Hyksos ruled from the 15th to 17th dynasty, and upon entering the Delta region, they would have come into contact with the indigenous Egyptian population. This population would have included descendants of the original Set worshippers who had possibly been driven there by Scorpion during the pre-dynastic period. Assman believes that because of Set's associations with Baal, the Egyptians look at both as examples of otherness, which could be regarded as adversaries or partners. In time, this resulted in Baal's name becoming a foreign name for Set in Egyptian texts. On one hand, Set's worship was firmly cemented in the Deltid region, which led him to be elevated to be one of the state gods during the New Kingdom. However, on the other hand, his associations with all things foreign then led to his abhorrence in later periods, such as the Greco-Roman period. Which sucks.
I know. Baal is so...
I like him.
I know. I was gonna say your other... I know, I'm very good at recognizing all the authors that you're using, so I'm very proud of you. But Jan Assmann, which I always laugh at his name, he actually just passed away, which is really sad. But,
oh no!
Yeah, I know.
I didn't know that.
I was like, no, not Jan Assmann. I know. His name is
Oh
I feel like
no!
that's
It's
just like
Anelka.
I know. And
My
then
heart's broken.
Barry Kemp also passed away, which hurt me even deeper. He's an Amarna Egyptologist, and he just died. Maybe. I don't know if he's Norwegian. He might be. He might be. I kind of always assumed he was German, but that is probably just a little bit like I don't know other countries in Europe of me. But yeah, awesome.
Oh, that breaks my heart.
I know
I
he
know
does.
that he wrote a lot of set stuff.
Yeah, he wrote a lot of stuff. So, rip to Jan Osman.
Dedicated to Jan Osman.
Absolutely. This is shout out to you.
Damn. Oh. Okay. I love the New Kingdom, just so you guys know. I also love New Kingdom art a lot. So.
New Kingdom is
New
superior.
Kingdom.
And it's not that we're just really excited that they have the most information. Like, I hate to say it, I don't want to be this girl, but you're right, my favorite is the New Kingdom, because, yes, we have the most information. So, I'm sorry.
I love the artwork of it too.
The artwork is,
the
artwork is very, very good.
I do just love the New Kingdom. Anyway, during the New Kingdom, we see a rise in Set's popularity due to Seti I and his son Ramses II being from the Delta region and being strong followers of Set. My besties. Anyway, however, we also see Set in prominent places in Hatshepsut's temple in Deir el-Bahari as well. There's even evidence that during the Amarna period, Set's worship continued throughout the Delta region and the Dakhla oasis. It seems that Egyptians saw Set's role as more of a foreign minister amongst the gods, rather than regarding him in an unfavorable light, as his main allegiance was still to Egypt. Since the Ramesside pharaohs worshipped Set as their family god, they were more than prepared to honor him not only in the Delta but throughout Egypt. Not only was Set a state god, but people also worshipped him as a local or personal one. We do see the Chester Beatty Papyrus, which describes the conflict between Heru and Set during this period that I had mentioned before. However, he was still seen as a positive force while protecting Ra on his bark at night. This gave Set the same sense of duality that every Natiru is famous for.
That is, yeah, it's so interesting. I always forget he's a Ramesside god, and I wonder how much of that is like the Ramesside's decision, or if it's something weird about the Delta. Because so far, the only people who have ever worshipped Set, honestly, it's not even living in the Delta, it's that Pi-Ramessu is literally half on top of the Hyksos capital.
Yeah.
So the Hyksos capital is Tel el-Daba. Tel el-Daba literally was like the Hyksos capital in Egypt where they lived, and then Pi-Ramessu, their capital during the Ramesside period, is literally within feet of it. Like, it's half over it. And I'm wondering how much of that is just like I'm trying to figure out like how that would work, because obviously there is a time gap, and the Hyksos were brought down, and there's like all the early New Kingdom people. So I wonder if that is like they are reusing the part of Tel el-Daba, or if it's just, or if Set is so associated with the Delta, which I never really thought that he was, but there's something there, because that's just, coincidences don't exist. In my opinion, like, especially because it's not that it's just in the Delta, like the two capitals are somewhere in the Delta, they're on top of each other. Like, I wonder.
That could just be Set working his magic too.
That is also true. Because honestly, I don't know why you would ever put a capital in the Delta. It is in the middle of so much water and so much fun.
Right?
That just seems like a bad idea in my opinion. Especially because the Ramessides leave Thebes, which is like great.
Why?
And was already so established by the time that they started. Like, yeah, okay, they had a little trouble with Akhenaten and stuff, but like the city was like presumably still there. Like, I don't know why you would just I don't understand why anyone would up and move to the Delta. Like, it's a very interesting thing. I just didn't think about it that hard.
some scholars believe that during the conflict, when Upper and Lower Egypt were like doing their conflict and all of their fighting and stuff, like the Set worshippers were driven into the delta by Scorpion during the pre-dynastic periods, like during the early dynastic.
Early.
So yeah,
Gotcha.
so maybe that's where it came from, and then that's why when the Hyksos came in, those are the Egyptians that they first met. So then they're like, oh, you have a storm god, we have a storm god, we like your storm god.
Yeah,
that kind of thing.
It's so hard to imagine because we unfortunately just don't have as much information about pretty much any like middle class groups of people that are not living in the capital with the pharaohs. It's so hard. It's hard for me even to genuinely imagine that, yeah, of course there was a group of people that were probably living in that area since the pre-dynastic period. And also it's like, I mean, that's thousands of years, but like, if there is a group that is consistently living in that area for a long time, it's reasonable that they would have some sort of god that they would be worshiping for that long of a time, and they wouldn't have that much interaction with the rest of the world around them and stuff. And it's just so hard for me, unfortunately, to think about that, because when it comes to ancient Egypt, we have so little of that information available. So often, I think this happens with many Egyptologists, and we've been trying to kind of change our mindsets for it. We just kind of turn off that thought because we don't like to speculate. And it's like, when we don't got any archaeology, I don't like to speculate about those things, and like that's not our job. Like, we are interpreting archaeology and the pieces that we have left behind. If there's nothing left behind, it is seemingly that they don't exist, even though that's probably not true.
Right.
So it's probably that. You're probably exactly right. It's just, it's so hard to prove those kind of things when you're looking at lower class and middle class people, that especially in the Delta, because archaeology sucks there. So that's the other half of it, is that because it is so wet, like, you think that everyone assumes that everything in Egypt survives so well, and then you look at the Delta. So Tel El Dabba is an amazing archaeological site. We have virtually no mummies, no burials, nothing, because it's just a floodplain. Like, it just constantly gets flooded, and it just constantly has been, the soil has moved, any organic pieces are wiped away. It's much more common to normal archaeology, like in Europe, in America. Like, those things normally happen. Egypt is a blip. It's like a random coincidence that those things survive because they are in the deep desert. So it's like, even if there was something, it's probably gone. Like, Tel El Dabba, it's a miracle we have anything from it, to be honest. Like, we do have a good amount of information from it, and Pi Ramesses, we have very little information from what I've gathered as well. Like, that's, I don't know why, because Tel El Dabba is older, but maybe because, I'm not sure how long they lived in that city for, but I haven't seen very much information about good archaeology that's come from there.
It sucks.
Yeah,
it would be so cool if we had like that information.
I know. It's the unfortunate thing is that, like, the mind of an archaeologist is like, there's twofold things that always are just like in the back of your mind. It's like slowly nibbling away at your brain, where they're like, wow, we're missing so much that we will never get answers for. And then the other question of, is this actually what's going on, or am I just like interpreting? Like literally you look at something and you're just like, what if we were all wrong? Like, what if we were so wrong? Like, I pick up like this hair clip that I find, and I'm like, this is a hair clip, obviously this is what they would use for their hair. What if I'm wrong? What if this is a chip clip? Like, it's always like something like that is just like always in the back of your mind, where it's just like, what if I'm just completely wrong about this?
Right.
A goat comb, like, who knows? This could be anything. It's just and that's why we say it's a ritual object. And absolutely, guys, because this is a hair clip, but guess what? It is a hair clip for putting up my hair as I go to a ceremony da da da, like it could, like,
Yeah.
it could be. And so that's
It could
always those horrible questions that just like gnaw in the back of my mind all the time, where I'm just like, oh shit, I'm wrong. I think I'm wrong. Fertility totem, exactly. Who the hell knows? Who the hell knows? It's something else.
And really, it's just probably something totally mundane.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the worst part, is I'm worried that I'm saying something is totally mundane, but it's actually super ritual, or the opposite of that. Like, it's a really ritual object that's like a toaster. I have no idea. Like,
A toaster?
I don't know what a toaster is. That's the worst thing. Thank you, Monkey Brims, for the follow. All right, we're on the second part of the New Kingdom, and I love the. I love the little Stella. That's a really cool little Stella.
Yes. I think it's cool too.
Oh, I didn't get to go to Medinat Habu. We ran out of time. Honestly, Karnak templed me out. I'm a tomb girly.
That's fair.
I'm a tomb girly. I was like, I'm gonna go to more tombs because they're all different. Karnak is like one of those places that I think I probably should have had a guide, because like I know of Karnak and I know the gist of it, but what I was actually looking at, it just like was repeating in my head, and I was just like, I kind of need some more details about the things I'm looking at. And so then we were planning to go to Medinat Habu and the Ramesseum, and we kind of were just like, let's go to more tombs instead.
That's fair. No, that's understandable. I was wanting to go to the Ramesseum, and then my guide was just like, actually, let me take you to Habu, because they still have color there.
I was gonna say,
like,
the Ramesseum is a little bland.
That's why you're just like,
heard.
yeah. But I actually, when I went to Egypt, I was kind of like in the beginnings of my path, and I was in a priestess course to become a priestess for Nebatet. And when I went there, I tried to do as much research as I could so I can find places that would have Nebatet and have Set in them, and I couldn't find anything for whatever reason. And then once I got deeper into my path, I then found like a whole bunch of stuff, and I'm like, really?
Now I'm not there? Yeah.
And I'm not there.
I know.
So then even in Hatshepsut's temple, there are depictions of Set with a human head.
What?
And I missed him.
I missed that apparently too. I didn't know that one. Huh.
I'm really upset because I would have
I feel like I gotta go through all my pictures again to see if I accidentally took a picture of it.
Yes.
I wonder. I might have. Like, I was taking a lot of pictures there. No, it's okay, because I was going through all of these different tombs, and I was looking for dogs and wanting to get like actual photos of them. And then when I walked away, when I left them, I was like, you know what I should have actually done is looked up where all of these dogs are coming from and actually plotted, because some tombs have multiple dogs. And I was looking deep into it, and I was like, you know what? I think I might have missed this dog. And I was like really mad about it, and so I'm trying not to be mad about it.
Yeah.
Because I will go back and I will plan better accordingly. So.
Yes. That's when I'm just like, I'm gonna eventually go back. I'll plan accordingly.
We're going back.
I'll get to see Set and everything. Yeah. I actually got lucky with this one, because we were leaving Habu, and I looked over. And I'm like, what the hell is that? Is that Set?
Oh, I know. Yeah, his whole head is scratched off, so you can only tell by his ears, sort of.
Yeah, and so I took a picture. I'm like, I'm gonna look this up, and it took me years to find evidence that this was Set.
Jesus.
And I was so happy that I found it.
I was gonna say, I was trying to see the hieroglyphs, but I'd have to look deeper. Yeah, I would have to look deeper to actually see, because I can't remember at the moment what how his hieroglyphs look.
I don't see them in the picture.
Yeah.
But
it also could have been in that giant section that's missing.
Yeah, I think it's in this giant section that's missing, because there's a little bit of it that I can see that was in his name during the New Kingdom. And it's just like, right underneath of his arm. I think that's probably where it was at.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Which, damn.
Dang, always.
I was really happy I got that at least. So, okay. Dog tour. We should have a dog tour. That would
We
be
should
great.
have. Well, we've done the dog lecture like multiple times, but we
Yeah.
should have a dog tour because I think I found a new one which I was pretty excited about. But I have to cross-reference. It was one of the ones in the Cairo Museum because I realized I had a lot of ones that were. I have the photos of it in the Cairo, or I know it's in the Cairo Museum, but I don't have a photo of it, and or I have a bad drawing of it, and so there were a couple I was taking photos of, and I was like, I don't think I have this. I think I'm gonna take a picture of it, and I think I found actually one that I don't think I had at all, and then I think I found one that I didn't have a good photo of, let's say, but
Yeah.
I think I only found like one new one. Which was good, because honestly, it shows that I did my research, because I would have been really mad if I came away with, like, 20 new things I have to add to my Excel spreadsheet. That is getting way too long.
Yes. My mom just asked for the link for the lecture.
Ah!
I'm like, yeah, sure, Mom, hold on.
Twitch.tv/MelissainDeNile. Let's go.
I'm just gonna go share it real quick.
Go for it.
Phone will let me.
Hello, Dagon. Welcome to the stream.
Never mind, she found it.
Yay! Hello, Amber's mom.
That's my mom. Hi, Mom.
Yay!
That's fun. I was getting ready to try to figure out how to share it to you.
Hello.
That's fun. But yeah, okay. Shall we move forward into the second part of the kingdom?
Absolutely.
Great. Even
Marin Ptah. You got this.
Marin Ptah. I was going to say it, and I'm like, I don't know if that's right. Marin Ptah. I think I went in his tomb, by the way, had commemorated. It was like really pretty.
Yeah, I think it's one. I think it's one of the nice ones in the Valley of the Kings.
Yeah. He commemorated Set on the walls of Karnak after his victory against the Sea Peoples and the Libyans, stating, "The infantry of His Majesty went forth together with his chariotry." English is hard, guys. I'm sorry.
Chariotry is not a real word, so that's fine.
Yeah, it's just like it's what it was in the thesis.
It's probably
like, okay.
It's probably chariots. I guess.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. That's weird.
Yeah, it's with his chariots basically.
Yeah.
Amun-Re being with him in the Umbite, which is Set, giving to them the hand, where Set is equated with Amun-Re as a state god. It continues, stating, "Victorious is Re, mighty against the 9 bows. Set giveth victory and might to Heru." During the 19th dynasty, evidence of personal names is seen, meanings ranging from Set is born to I belong to Set, which illustrates great devotion to him. Ramses III also had very many depictions of Set in his temple at Habu, most of which are defaced now, as you can see, which is really heartbreaking to me. But
it's heartbreaking, but it's also hard to tell if that was done by ancient Egyptians or modern Egyptians. So
yeah.
I always have to kind of do that with a grain of salt, because I'm just like, you don't, like, it's definitely possible that ancient Egyptians, because they didn't like Set, could have done that. Yeah. Like, because obviously there are depictions of, like, Hatshepsut that people have gone and scratched out. But the other thing is that there's also, unfortunately, a very long tradition of the Muslim people in Egypt believing that you're not allowed to depict images of your gods, or that these are false gods, going in and defacing them. So it's also hard to judge when that is happening.
Right. It is. It is still heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Poor Set.
Yeah.
There is a stela from the tomb workers village in Deir el Medina made for Apeti. On this stela, he's shown in an act of adoration for Set. This indicates that because the stela was in one of the holiest places, Set was an accepted part of the pantheon. Which I do. I like this little stela. I think
it's very nice. It's a very good quality, which shows that it's from Deir el Medina and stuff.
Yeah.
Friend at Arms asks, the Ombite, which is Set, does this mean that there was a place associated with Set called Ombos? And I'm
Yes.
weirdly, yeah, I think, I don't know anything about it, but I was like, that does sound like a town that I've heard of. Yeah.
It's I do believe it's Kamombo now. But yeah, it
Oh,
was,
of course
yeah.
it's Kamombo.
Uh-huh.
Duh. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. I was like, that sounds
That
really
area,
familiar.
yeah. That area in Nakata
Nakata, yeah.
are basically like his area in, I think, pre-dynastic and early dynastic. May have to double check on that one, but pretty sure that's what it was.
So, Atlas Brood, because you are new here, welcome. My name is MelissainDeNile. This is my channel. I am an Egyptologist and an archaeologist, and I am the main streamer. I stream games. And Amber is my guest today. Amber is a Kemeticist, which is somebody who worships the ancient Egyptian gods in the modern day. So, she's a big expert on Egypt as well. So, honorary Egyptologist, which is great. We love that. I'll say that. You know... You went and got actual theses and authors in this PowerPoint, so I think that's honorary academic. You don't have to go through the tortures of grad school. I think you know a lot about Egypt to say an honorary Egyptologist. What is this notebook?
This is my set notebook.
Oh my god! That's a big, chunky notebook.
It has 3 theses in it that I use
for
this.
Love that. We love that.
So
we love it. But yes, so I have this whole series called Beyond the Nile guest lecture series where I bring on guests from all different archaeology, art history, and stuff. So this one in particular does have to do with ancient Egypt, but we also talk about lots of different archaeology. Next month is actually going to be like really modern for me. We're talking about, I don't even know the specifics of it, but we're talking about like 20th century stuff. So like it just depends on the guest and whoever wants to come in and talk about their passions and such. So but yeah, this is season 2. Amber is our first guest that has been on both seasons, which is very exciting. So but yes, we also do have a lecture questions channel point if you want to ask any questions so that we don't get lost in them, and that so that I can see them in like my activity feed and stuff. And I know we're still coming back to Paranoid has 2 questions that we'll do at the pause when we finish with the timeline of set in just a bit.
Yes. I'm going to carry that honorary Egyptologist title with me to my grave.
Yeah, like I don't like using the word amateur Egyptologist a lot, like because like amateur is kind of a funny like word that I'm like, it doesn't really work out, but it's just like if you do this much research and you can like carry on a conversation with like a person who did do grad school, like I feel like that makes you that you've done the research, especially because honestly you are using sources, you're using somebody's theses, like that's not somebody who's just like going to Wikipedia and gathering all this information on set. Like this is way more than I even expected for you, because like I hate to say it, I don't do readings for my lectures. We go find it on the internet because I don't got time to read from a book.
No, that's fair. Even in these theses, like I printed these off when I was living in Florida, and I would do it in my free time. And I printed them off just so I can highlight and write my own notes on it, because it would just make it so much easier for me.
Yeah.
And I'm not even done with one of them because it's like 647 pages of information.
No, that's fine.
And I'm like, I'm on page 169.
That's too many more. Too much more.
Yes.
Atlas Brood, if you don't mind using the channel point for that question, we will carry it over to when we take our little mid-stream break, because that's a good question that I can answer personally. And actually, we will be going over some of the stuff. This lecture is specifically on the god Set, and so we actually will be looking about how he is depicted in in pop culture. So this will fit, but I'll answer my half of that when we finish the timeline. Thank you, Atlas. All right. Third intermediate period. Let's go.
Third intermediate period brought in more outside influences from Libya and Nubia, and eventually the conquest by the Assyrians. Set has few mentions during this period, but those in the Dakhla Oasis stele, which established that his worship was important at this oasis. The inscriptions on the Shabaka stone gives another take on the dispute between Set and Heru, which scholars believe was a propaganda play by Shabaka to legitimize his reign. There was a priesthood dedicated to Set in the Dakhla Oasis during this time, and a high priest of Set, Pinbost, is known to have a statue of Nebutet made that was found in the temple of Deir el Hagar. And Pinbost was known to be a high-ranking official, particularly in the town of Moot, the Dakhla Oasis capital. I want to go to Moot so bad. I'm not going to lie, like I want to go.
Pinbost. I remember this guy. I remember this, and I remember Deir el Hagar. There's like a pretty good temple there, if I remember correctly. I think that is like pretty preserved. I don't know where. Like I know it's in obviously the Dakhla Oasis, but
yeah,
I forgot about Pinbost. Huh.
But yeah, Set still had a good hold on the Oasis during this time, being a major god, and it still continued even throughout the Greco-Roman period.
Huh. That's amazing. That's pretty good.
Yes.
I was gonna say, here's the little Set right here on the.
Yeah, I think he's up on top too.
Oh yeah, that one actually, the one on top looks like him. The one at the bottom actually looks very similar to the dog hieroglyph, but the one on top you can tell is because his nose is more curved. The other one is nose is kind of straight. I actually wonder if that might be a dog, and the Set is on the top.
I actually think that's his name. The one on the bottom, the one on top is part of his name too, but you can't see the beginnings of it because it's broken.
It is.
It's just his name right there.
It is, yeah. I think it's just a bad drawing of it. It is. I can kind of see this one. It's still a little bit more curved.
Yeah.
Always look at the actual piece. Don't always look at the drawings because people don't draw them right.
Yeah.
Yeah, Atlas Brood. So Amber is a priestess of Set. So Set is the main god that she worships. And so the first half of it is all about, we're now at the third intermediate period. We're going through how Set was viewed over time. And then we're going to look at how Set was viewed in modern pop culture and how he's kind of been the bad guy. But mainly, I'll give you a sneak peek. It's mainly he's the bad guy. But, well, there are some other cool exceptions.
There are. Okay. Late period. The late period, however, was the start of Set's major downfall. Because of the Assyrian conquest and rule, while we saw the Hyksos enhance Set's associations with foreigners, this time he wasn't so lucky, and he was abhorred and blamed for the atrocities committed by the Assyrians. Regardless, we still see beautiful depictions of him during this time, indicating that in some parts of Egypt, most likely the Oases, he wasn't vilified. There's a passage from the papyrus in the Louvre 3129 where Set is depicted as attempting a new invasion with his allies as he returns to Egypt to wreak havoc amongst its temples, which could have indicated a mirror to what the Assyrians did on their way to Thebes. The hatred of Set is further indicated with the changing of one particular bronze statue, which is the one pictured, from the 19th or 20th dynasties where Set's ears were changed to mimic ram horns in an attempt to change him to Khnum or Amun. Some say that his ears were removed and replaced, but I personally believe that they just took his ears and reformed him into ram's horns, or at least tried to. The invasion by the Persians also didn't help Set either, as it merely made the hatred toward him worse, and thus from this point on we do see him demonized.
I was gonna say you can kind of see it, like I'm assuming if they change it to Khnum or Amun, they would have added the crown because Set is not typically depicted with the double crown of Egypt, but you can see there's like this little line right here at the top.
I think during the New Kingdom there are some other statues with him with the double crown.
Really, with it? Ah, interesting. But yeah, I can see possibly the both because I do see this line that looks like the ears could have sat next to the crown. So I wonder, it's very interesting.
And like ram horns, whenever they make them, they're usually thicker, so that's why I believe they just took his ears and
they usually have like the nice spiral into it, like you can see the detailing on it. It is very, very interesting.
And if you're able to look at the statue at one point and like zoom in on the tip of it, it kind of looks like they squished the square part of his ear right there. So
yeah, interesting. So interesting.
So that's my theory, but
No, I think it's definitely possible.
Okay. Right. Now we're going into the Greco-Roman period. Yay.
Yay.
We see more demonization of Set within texts and depictions of him. The Temple of Edfu, a temple dedicated to Heru, shows Set as the enemy and portrayed the struggle between the two gods in Heru's victory, which makes sense considering it is a temple for Heru, this is a picture that I took while I was there, and you can see where the Heru is spearing. I do believe this is set as a hippo down here on the bottom.
Got it.
But we also see in the Jumilak papyrus where Set is portrayed as the enemy of Anpu during this time, trying to thwart Anpu's mummification process of Usir, amongst other unflattering stories. The common denominator in all of these myths, though, is that Set is depicted in a negative manner, which may reflect, according to Veld, the situation within the Nile Valley at the time. The Set animal was also generally omitted from writing of Set's name during this time onward and was instead spelt phonetically. The only time his animal determinative is seen is in the Jumilak papyrus, when he is associated with Heru and the title of the Two Lords. When the Set animal is used, it was more than likely symbolically killed by drawing a knife to the head and or tail, or even a bound Set or captive as a determinative.
Huh. I did not know this thing that he is an enemy of Anubis. What the heck?
So there's a
weird. Why would
it is?
It's just well, so I hate to say it. It's the Greco-Roman period. Everything's a little random. Yeah. It doesn't really have. It doesn't follow the normal conventions. So I don't give them any fault for that. But that's really weird.
It is really. It's.
Like it just seems really like Anubis has always been just kind of like this neutral guy. Like he is, like, in my opinion, he is the close, like, if you had to associate him with like a Greco-Roman god, he is Hermes in kind of my opinion, like, because he is this one who travels with people back and forth, like, through the afterlife and stuff. So like Hermes is just a dude. He's just like hanging out. Like it just doesn't seem like something that you would need an enemy for, but I guess if you're gonna stop his mummification process, and especially the process of Osiris, okay, I guess that one's, Set, I hate to say it does make more, if we're just talking like literature sense, with the story of Anubis, or with the story of Osiris and Set, that like, if anybody doesn't know the story, very, very quickly, Osiris and Set are brothers. Set is chaos and Osiris is order and the king. Set kills Osiris and chops him up into little bits. These stories do slightly change also in different time periods, but I'm giving you the gist. The pieces of the body part are spread all over Egypt, and their two sisters, Isis and Nephthys, turn into kites, which is a type of bird, not a flying kite, and fly around Egypt, collect all of the different pieces, put him together, and realize that a piece is missing. In some instances, it's the penis, but in other instances, it's not named. It's just there's something unfinished about him. And then they wrap him up like a mummy, which is why you always see Osiris in a like white cloth. And because he doesn't have all his pieces, he has to live in the underworld. Like, he has to live in the afterlife and be the ruler there. And then Anubis comes up, Horus, the son of Isis and Osiris, comes up and defeats Set. That's like the very basic story. But I always wondered, on a purely literature sense, why Set didn't bother stopping his sisters. I feel like it almost like makes more sense, like, for just the literature of the story, that he hid like one of the pieces of Osiris, like something like that. It just doesn't, it's very unanswered in that like section. I'm just like, he's just gonna let them go around and collect and just undo everything he did, I guess. Yeah. Okay. But yeah, that's on a purely literature sense, and not a dig at any of the gods. Just like, it just seems stupid, which I hate to say it, most Egyptian stories always have one like huge loophole that I'm like, that does not work out. Like, that doesn't make any sense. totally sidetrack. Has anyone heard the story of the what is it? It's the story of the. It's not called the Three Fates. It's called. Essentially, it's a story about this guy who is a prince, and when he is born, the fates tell the pharaoh that his son will die by either a dog, a snake, a crocodile, or a snake. Yeah, a snake. And so he's like, okay, I gotta like sequester my son in the palace. And then when the boy is really young, he's sitting on top of the roof of like, I guess his house with like a servant, and he sees a dog, and he goes, what is that? And he goes, it is a dog. And he goes, I want one. And then his dad gives him a dog. And I'm like, excuse me? Excuse me? The goddesses told you that he would die by either a dog, a snake, or a crocodile. And you gave him a dog? I had to read this for my thesis. And then he loves the dog. The dog's his best friend. He takes him on a journey. He saves a princess, gets married to her, and when he tells her about her fate, she's like, oh, then you gotta get rid of the dog. And he goes, I'm not getting rid of the dog. He's my best friend. And he doesn't get rid of the dog. Which, like, I understand this problem, but if I was told that I was gonna get killed by a dog, I'm not hanging out with dogs. No matter how cute they are. And so then I think his wife saves him from a snake, and then well, honestly, friend at arms, just wait, because she saves him from a snake, and then he's hanging out with his dog one day, and the papyrus ends! It's missing the very end of the story. The only thing that we know is that either the dog, it's hard to translate because there are so many little gaps and stuff, but supposedly it either says that the dog speaks to him, like suddenly out of fucking nowhere speaks to him and says, I am your fate, and then tries to attack him, or it's more like the dog looks at him and tries to bite him. Like, the words are unfortunately garbled, and then we have no idea what happens. He runs away from the dog. That's all we got. So we have no idea because the papyrus didn't survive. So yeah.
Damn.
Long story short, that was the Egyptians don't leave giant loopholes in which this dad is just like, yeah, you can have a dog, buddy. No problem at all. It's so stupid. It's like so stupid, and I think about that all the time. Friend at arms, I can't believe you predicted the end of that because that was pretty funny. Yeah, one piece of the puzzle is missing. Yeah.
No, friend of ours.
Volume 2 is... Oh my
rip.
God. Rip. Oh my God, that's so funny.
That's funny.
Alright, you might want to try focusing your camera for a second. It's a little blurry.
Is it blurry? Did it do the thing? Is it unblurry?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay,
there we go.
Good.
There we go.
It loves doing that sometimes.
That's fun. No problem.
Okay.
Almost
Are you ready
done.
to... Almost done.
Almost done.
We got like this one, and that's kind of
for this part,
in conclusion, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Even into the Roman period, there was evidence of the continued worship of Set. The Dakhla and the Karga oases still remained a hotspot of worship where individuals still carried the offices of prophet of Set. And I personally even wonder if Plutarch and other scholars of the Greek times had been exposed to the priests of Set, how their views would have changed or been influenced, considering they couldn't read hieroglyphs and were reliant upon the tales told to them by the Egyptian priests that they were exposed to, who were most likely biased toward their view of Set. It is no surprise that the Greek scholars also held a biased view of Set.
Absolutely, and that's one small reason why we cannot trust anything that the early Greek authors said about ancient Egypt. It's a very hot take because there are still some people that are like more accepting, and I have a personal view where I don't accept any of it. unless I know it's kind of shocking.
Me too.
Okay, you too?
Me too.
Cool. Because this is the whole thing, is that like I feel like, to be honest, it's a secondary source. Like if you're looking at primary and secondary sources, it's a secondary source. Even though people will argue, no, it's a primary source. They talk to real people in Egypt. I'm like, no, they talk to Greeks in Egypt. Like, even if they were talking to maybe Greek Egyptian priests, they talked to people that were ethnically probably Greek and had probably been living in Egypt for a while. They have a very interesting take, yes, but my biggest problem with all those is that people take all of that information and they say that it is accurate for the entirety of Egyptian history, instead of it is accurate for that. Like, people will just do these and I think this is a beyond these Greek scholars problem, that people use generalities about ancient Egypt all the time. They never acknowledge that this is not a homogeneous society. This is a society that is constant, and even just in this talk, we're talking about one god, the ebb and flow of how this is changing over time, and most people are fine with just doing the generalities, and I try to put the maybes, I try to put the probablys, I try to put the during certain time periods, like, phrases into everything that I say, because I don't want it to be that way. I don't want people to say that this is how mummification was the entire time. Like, no, it changed. Things are different. And like, yeah, it's a big hot take, I think. I don't think it's a big hot take for other Egyptologists. I think it's a big hot take for classicists, I think, is the big thing. Yeah. Is I think classicists are like, but we do this. And I'm like, okay, but you can listen to what, what's his name talked about Greece and other things, and you can listen to what they're talking about with Greek Egypt, with Greco-Roman Egypt, but just, you cannot say that's Egyptian. That's not ancient Egyptian. Like, honestly, sometimes I know people love Greco-Roman Egypt. I know people love it. Sometimes I want to kick it off the timeline. I want to chop it off the timeline. Me too. And honestly, even earlier, because the more I've done research, the first Achaemenid era and the second Achaemenid era, I feel like it needs to be a completely different field, because it is so different. And I've told people this before, and I may have even told you this, that somebody way back when in my Discord put up an article saying that, like, bowling was invented in ancient Egypt. And I'm like, what the hell? I'm like, what's this? And it's based on, like, something that was found archaeologically. And I was like, okay, that's a good sign. But when I looked at it, it was found in, like, a Greco-Roman town. And it was essentially a long path with, like, these little sort of pin-ish things that sort of looked like bowling. And I was like, but did it come from ancient Egypt, or did it come from the Greeks, the Romans, the Persians, the Assyrians, the blah, 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 long list of people that have invaded Egypt by that point? Yeah. It's not ancient Egypt.
I'm in the same boat.
I'm very glad. The exact same boat. Always fun. I know. People definitely hate me. Probably that's a very hot take that I've just kind of said right now, that I just want to chop Greco-Roman Egypt off. Because it's too much of a mixing bowl. It's too much of a mixing bowl, and you don't know where. It's hard to trace where certain traditions are coming from, and you also have no idea what the pharaohs are doing at that time, and it's like you don't know where they fall in the Greek to Egyptian sliding scale. Like,
completely agree with you. I have a lot of feels on it, and then honestly a lot of it is because of Set, but
no, I think he's a very good example. No, I think he absolutely is. Friend in arms. I love that thought that people were just like, let's screw with the tourist. I don't doubt it. I hate to say it, I don't doubt it, because people have not changed that much over time, and I feel like, well, I will say this. I think it would be less obvious that possibly he was a tourist. Like, I hate to say it, when you go, so if you've ever seen, like, blonde people go to, like, China, like countryside China, they're like, oh my god, a blonde person, because they just, like, don't see them. And so, like, they will flock to people, or, like, they see an African person or an African American person. Like, these things do happen in our now modern, like, touristy time. I don't think Herodotus showing up in Greco-Roman Egypt, I don't think he would be that noticeable. unless you went to a really small Egyptian town where they don't interact with the Greeks or Romans that much. Because I don't know what I haven't read like Herodotus, so I don't know exactly if he names like what cities he goes to. He probably just went to Alexandria.
Probably.
He probably just went to Alexandria. He probably didn't leave Alexandria. Like I would not trust that. Like that's not the right city to get a good, authentic, this is what ancient Egypt was like. So if he went to those small towns, maybe you did have the people that are like, this guy is different. This is a tourist. Like he looks so much different than us. And maybe then he would have the like, let's fuck with the tourist thing. But I think for otherwise, I think he'd blend in very well in the rest of in some parts of like the not the Oasis, Fayum and Alexandria. I think you would blend in pretty perfectly. All right, let's do the conclusion, and then I'm going to answer Paranoid's question, or we can answer Paranoid's question.
So in conclusion, although this account of Set's history is not as in-depth as I would like, it still gives a picture on how biased and political his stories and myths became over time. It's a big lesson that I myself had learned while studying him, and a lesson I pass on along to others. Even into the modern day, I would argue this continues as depictions of Set in popular culture only portray him through the biased lens of his adversaries.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yay! Very good. Yay! Friend at arms. That you are also correct in that it's like, what's it called? It's elites talking to elites. Absolutely. That like I don't know how much Herodotus was talking to like the random lowly Egyptian farmer. Like I don't know. Like I hate to say it. You're right. You're very right. All right, I'm gonna scroll back into the questions. So we did answer like what we think of animal is Set. How many T's should Set be spelled with? And is the name Seth derived from Set? That's a very good question.
I think it's 1 T.
It should be 1 T, yeah.
It should be 1 T. I do believe Seth is his Greek name.
I will confess, I have been calling him Seth for years. Or at least writing it. I actually weirdly think that I say Set, but I was writing Seth for a very long time. But you are right. I do believe Seth, or see, it sounds weird saying it like that, but I believe writing it with the H is like the Greek name of him. And I confess, I've been writing that for a really long time, and suddenly, I think this was probably around the time that we did our first lecture, I started like, wait a second. How am I supposed to write this? And I got a little paranoid, so now I start writing it without the H.
You can also use Sutek. You could use Setesh.
Yes,
especially whenever you need to like use like set the English word set, not Set's name, but set in the same sentence, like set down bread on the altar or whatever. Like it's just easier to use either like Setesh or Sutek.
Absolutely. Yeah. Paranoid says, what properties classify a text as a spell? That's a very good question. I don't even know.
That's a very good question.
I don't even know if there is something that actually classifies it as a spell. Like, there's nothing, if I can remember when I've taken Egyptian language, there's nothing that I would say, there's nothing that I would say has to be in the sentence to classify it as a spell, like grammatically, I don't think. But I'll guess I say this. At least when it comes to ancient Egyptian spells, these have all been recorded and written down because they appear in 3 main places. The pyramid texts, the coffin texts, and the Book of the Dead. And like the Book of Gates and like some other like things that you would see in tombs and stuff. But for the most, absolutely, Lena. If you have any info, include that absolutely. But yeah, it's mostly, and it's also, I feel like also some really snotty academic might even say that everything in Egyptian text is a spell. because everything was meant to be read by the gods and stuff. So it would be kind of a thing that maybe I could see. Also, Dapper, thank you for your other side of a definition of Seth. Confused Seth with Sesostris. Huh. Interesting. That's very weird. And Sesostris is so weird as well because it's a combination god of Greek and Egyptian gods. Very interesting.
I don't know much about Greco-Roman
No,
at all.
Me neither.
I know Isis, I know
The worst thing is I feel like all I know about the Greco-Roman era is Cleopatra, but from the Cleopatra movie and not from actual history. I could recite that entire movie like right now. Like I know exactly here. Like
the 1963 one?
Yeah, the one with Elizabeth Taylor. Absolutely. Yeah.
That's like 5 hours long.
I know. I know. Like I hate to say it, if I try to tell like a history of Cleopatra, I will tell the story that's from that movie, which I know is like fairly accurate, but like it doesn't include that she has 3 kids with Mark Antony. Like it doesn't include a lot of things. But I remember it's like, yeah, like I will tell you the story, and it will secretly just be the 1963 Cleopatra. I think we ran out of time. I'm not even joking you. In my main Egyptian history class in grad school, we ran out of time, which is hysterical considering that the teacher is a Greco-Roman Egyptian historian and art historian.
Oh wow!
I know. I don't know how she did not prepare more time for that because she should have.
That's funny.
Okay, what was the next one? So, yeah, what is an animal? How do you scientifically classify humoristic text from Egypt? Humor is pretty complicated. It is. The only thing that I can contribute to this answer is that the Egyptians liked a rhyme and a play on words, and often that is what we mean by humor. They really liked putting words that sounded the same next to each other. In certain instances, so things, if it's defined as like humor, it's probably that. There's not much else. Besides funny stories, like there are funny stories of like, there's the one about the magician who can rip the head off the goose and put it back on. And like, I don't know if it was meant to be funny, but it is funny, so. And the dog thing always makes me laugh. That story is, the little dog, I can just picture like this tiny little dog looking up at somebody who goes, I am your fate, and then tries to kill him. Like, I think that's just like the funniest thing I've ever heard. Boop, 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 boop. Okay, we answered Ombos. We will talk about set in pop culture. A lot of these are going to be either like video games, TV shows, or movies, so I can weigh in on any of the video games that I played. I haven't played a lot of them, but I can weigh in. I'm a big Assassin's Creed Origins person. It's like the best game in the history of the world. I can't fight. You can fight me on that. I think it's my favorite game.
I love that game so much.
And I can't remember, Amber, if we've talked about this. Are you the Mummy fan? The Brendan Fraser Mummy?
That is my comfort movie.
Yeah, see, you are one. I am not. And this has really, there's no hate to it. It truly is.
Yeah,
it is not something that I was ever raised on. I am an Indiana Jones girl. I was raised on Indiana Jones. It's like my favorite, like Harrison Ford is the sexiest man I've ever known. Like, and I've watched, the unfortunate thing is because I was not raised in it, I did not watch it until college when I was already a huge Ancient Egypt fan, and I wasn't yet a huge snob because I hadn't gone to grad school yet, but I was enough of a snob to be.
Why did it have to be snakes?
I have to put on my Indiana Jones hat because they redeemed.
You're fine.
Snakes. Why did I snakes?
Don't feel bad because I didn't watch The Mummy when I was younger because it came out in 1999 ?
Yeah, I think
and
so.
I was like 9-10 years old. It scared the shit out of me, so I didn't watch it.
That's my other big problem with it, is I have met kids who have seen The Mummy and they do think that scarabs will eat them, and I am not a proponent of anything that is going to make people scared of ancient Egypt and scared of learning for ancient Egypt. So I'm a no-no on that one. I will say though, I love the 1932 Mummy, which is the original Mummy. Ooh, and if you have not watched it, it is hysterical. Because of course it's like in black and white. It's really old. It's got Boris Karloff, who played Frankenstein. With Boris Karloff. And it is very similar to the whole thing is that it's so similar to the plot of the 1999 one. It is very much based on it and stuff. And there are actually more. I think there's like 4 plus, or there's 3 plus a 3 plus a one with the Three Stooges. I haven't watched that one, but there apparently is one with the Three Stooges. Yes, Friend at Arms. It is Boris Karloff. It's great. And the one thing that I also am mad about the 1999 Mummy is the names of the main 2 characters, being Imhotep and Ankh-Senamun. Imhotep is a guy from the 3rd dynasty, and Ankh-Senamun is the wife of Tutankhamun from the 18th dynasty. That's like 2,000 years apart. Well, maybe not 2,000. It's a lot of years apart. So it's like if Karen got with, I can't even think of a medieval name. Something really old that like doesn't fit. And I don't blame the 1932 Mummy for doing that because it's from 1932. That's like 10 years after the discovery of Tutankhamun. That's fine. I blame the 1999 movie because I feel like that they could change it easily and no one would be upset. Like, I feel like they could have just done that. It's like a T-Rex fighting a Stegosaurus. Which I don't know enough about dinosaurs to know. I guess those are millions of years apart. I didn't fucking know.
That's funny.
That's very funny. Okay, I'm getting back to Lena says spells are meant to work very deliberately through symbolic magic. Different words, phrases, and metaphors and images are meant to stand for an abstract concept. If you look at the book Going Forth by Day, which is the Book of the Dead, describes challenges and descent, and the deceased must overcome, reach the field of reeds. Yeah, physical dangers are metaphorical, representing aspects of negativity that could harm the soul. Yeah, that is true. It's just I feel like there are those certain phrases that are like that are not from the Book of the Dead, and so I think that's the difficulty of like what is. I feel like truly there is some probably language snob who's literally like everything is a spell, technically.
I personally would classify the prayers as spells.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's just me. That's me. I don't know if there's any kind of like historical context to that. Well, I just feel like
they
prayers
are. Like, well, the other thing is that we're also using spells not in the same way like magic spells.
Yeah.
Honestly, we are using spells to mean prayers. To be honest, spell is a word that is used in the context of this is a specific statement that is repeated over time that is a call to something. So yeah, I honestly think very thank you so much, Lena. Okay, scrolling back up. I'll give this one to you, Amber, and I can answer it at the end. Is the change of the gods over time intended, or is this due to quote-unquote information loss when handed down to generations? What are your thoughts on that? Because I think that's a very good question.
That is a very good question. Oh.
What is your opinion in regards to your research with Set? And I can give a little bit.
Maybe a little bit of both, do you think? Considering how... I always, whenever I'm like, teaching about Set, I'm just like, he's a pre-dynastic deity, he's old. So, like, considering how old he is, exactly. I could definitely see where misinformation, like the telephone game would have happened. I could totally see that happening. Especially when it came to, because the victors, right, the histories, so the victors being Lower Egypt, Heru, is definitely going to be like writing Set in a not very good light, and I can totally see them also messing up that telephone game as well.
Yeah, overpowering it.
Mm-hmm. So like whenever I didn't put it in this, but like going back to the, you know, Heru winning the unification battles, I've read somewhere that there are scholars that believe that they could have, like, instead of getting rid of Set to make sure that Upper Egypt doesn't revolt, they just integrated him into their own religion as well, and then just to placate Upper Egypt. And I could totally see that. Like, I can totally see that. Like, I understand that from, like, maybe like a war standpoint, but like I think a little bit of both, definitely, especially when it comes to Set. I could see that happening.
Absolutely. And I'll answer, Paranoid, that's kind of how we have the differences between all the time periods that we talked about. When we're talking in pure generalities, is that often people call the intermediate periods the low periods of ancient Egypt because there was not a strong pharaonic power during many of those time periods. The second intermediate and the third are a little bit more vague because there are strong pharaonic powers, but they don't often there are two different rulers at the exact same time, or it's the third intermediate period, there's Persians and Nubians and like all these different eras. But we call them the low periods because for the longest time people assumed, because there's no strong pharaonic power, that nobody is passing on all of these different things. But obviously those things did get passed on, because like when you look at Egypt very, very, very generally, it all seems the same over the 5,000 years. Like, yeah, when you look into the specifics, you can see, if you guys take all the different art history courses I have on my Patreon, you can see that every distinct period has a very distinct style. But it is true, when you look at Egypt, everything is almost very homogeneous. So it is you can argue that that's not true, that there was still some sort of carrying over of information during those low times. It just means maybe they weren't making as much art because they just didn't have the time, or they didn't have the money, or they didn't have the resources. But yeah, I think it's definitely on a both sides to that, is that there might be certain times of propaganda where they're like, we don't want to carry that over. Or like, hey, this one time where Set was said to be like a really cool god, we're not going to bring that, we're not going to continue that. Like, or in some cases if it's like one group, so like the Hyksos is the second intermediate period is a really good point, because if the Hyksos ruled over them, but there's a whole other group ruling in southern Egypt, and they eventually defeat the Hyksos, any sort of knowledge that the Hyksos have about this god, or about how they depict him, or how they see him, is going to be wiped away. It's going to be overpowered. So like, it's a very good example and stuff. Japper, I will get to your question in a second. Paranoid also said, did Set ever prove his commitment to Egypt? Paranoid, if you can define that question a little bit deeper.
I wish he did.
Yeah, we'll see if Paranoid define that question a little bit, and I'm gonna jump over to Dapper's question. Is Kingdom of Kush considered part of ancient Egyptian research? Offers how much the things overlap? Is a very hard question. I don't think it is, unfortunately. I think there are people within Egyptology that choose to research Kush and research the area of Nubia, but I am very interested to see how when I wanted to include Nubian examples of dogs in my thesis, my professor was like, why are you including these? And I was like, because it's Nubia? And that was my only answer, and he was like, okay. And that was something that I didn't expect. I really thought he was gonna be like I didn't expect him to say that. And so I find, even though they are so similar in certain ways to Egypt, I find that It is not, yeah, I know, all the dogs. I couldn't not include it because it was a huge, really well excavated burial of multiple dogs that still had fur on them. And I was like, yeah, these are getting included because this is my only example of that in this whole area. So these are getting included. I was like, there's no way I'm not including this. But yeah, so I think it's like people have to choose if they want to research that. It is not just going to fall naturally into, yeah, everyone's going to study it. You definitely learn about it offhand, but I know very little about Kush. It took me forever to even define that it is the kingdom of Kush in the area of Nubia. Because a lot of people will say it's the Nubian kingdom. No. There are multiple. Nubia is a generalized area in Sudan and South Sudan and a little bit of Egypt. And Kush is the specific kingdom. And also Kush is also what the Egyptians called them. I don't know actually if we know. I might have to look that up. I'm not sure if we actually know what they called themselves. Oh, no, wait, I am wrong. No, Kush is what they call themselves. Nubians is what the Egyptians called them because Nub is the ancient Egyptian word for gold. That's what it is. But it also, so that's why I've always confused myself. It was like, oh, it's Nubians. But no, it is, Nubia is the area of gold that the Egyptians would go and get to. Alright. So slides mentioned that his commitment to Egypt, he was supposed to be a foreigner or symbol thereof, and when and how did he become accepted as part of Egypt?
Okay, so I think he's talking about this. They are talking about the New Kingdom slide, where it says it's the one with Set and Heru in Nefertari's. Yeah. Where it says, it seems that the Egyptians saw Set's role as more of a foreign minister amongst the gods, rather than regarding him in an unfavorable light, as his main allegiance was still with Egypt. That was just the way the Egyptians saw him at that time. I wouldn't become accepted part of Egypt. Like during the New Kingdom, he was very much of a state god, so he was already kind of like accepted at that time as a state god. Because he had, let's see, I'm trying to think, pre-dynastic, Old Kingdom, kind of went downhill because of the Usir myths. First Intermediate period, there's not much, and then during the Middle Kingdom, we see him more as being accepted as a god. And then the Second Intermediate period was like his first major downfall with the Hyksos. And then after that is when, during the New Kingdom, is when he came up into popularity again, because he was just like kind of like a roller coaster.
Yeah.
Poor guy, you know.
Yeah.
And then after the late period is when it really just stayed down. So before that, he was always accepted as part of the pantheon because the Egyptians saw his chaos as being part of Ma'at. He is the balance between Heru's order. Which so then like a lot of the depictions of the pharaohs being blessed by Set and Heru is just, it changes to Jehudi and Heru, or Thoth, during the later periods, because they didn't accept Set during that time. Because that's when his major downfall was just kind of unfortunately set in stone.
Yeah. But set in stone. So many good puns.
It is.
And the other thing is that in general, when we talk about the Egyptian view of life, order versus chaos is their big thing. Is that, but in some instances, and granted this is mostly only like the actual thoughts of like the pharaohs and how they are kind of showing themselves off to their citizens, but the Egyptian world was order and everything else was chaos, and that includes all the different countries outside of it and all the different and the animal world even within it. that is chaos. And so having depictions of order defeating chaos is very common, and that includes the smiting of enemies, that includes the killing of a hippo, which in some cases might be set, in some cases it's just a hippo because it's a hunting scene. But it still kind of means it's set. And so I didn't think about this a lot, but you're right. Like, set is so much often associated with the foreigner because that's what he is. He's chaos. He is the opposite of Heru, who is Egypt. And so it makes a lot of sense. How is chaos seen? Chaos is... It's a very good question. You don't... And I'm taking this a little bit literally. You don't see it. It's like you know it's there. But it can be depicted in, like... the animal world is one of the big ones. It is that instability, but it's the animal world, and not really unknown. No, not really unknown. One of the other big things of chaos is and Amber, cover your ears.
You're fine. You go ahead. I was going to say it too.
Apophis. Apophis is this very large, like, snake-like deity that lives in this unknown kind of world that every time after... Hi, Ludo! Every time after Horus brings the sun down, he must defeat Apophis to be able to rise again. And it's like every single night he has to do this and stuff. And so Apophis is also like this huge image of chaos. But it is, you never really see, like, it's so weird. It's like you never really see, like, chaos depicted. It's depicted, really, honestly, it's depicted as Set. Like, Set is a walking figure of chaos is what he's kind of supposed to be, even though he just looks like a normal dude. Like, that's kind of the, like, well, he's not a normal dude. He's obviously at the head of some weird ass animal. So, like, besides that, but, like, he's just a dude. Like, he's just a, like, he doesn't have, like, smoke going around. Like the Egyptians aren't like that. They're all about kind of, in simple imagery. In some instances, it's very much like internalized and stuff. But seeing what the other thing, this is another thing to add. You won't see chaos because there is no chaos, because the pharaoh is taking care of chaos. That's another thing that I'll mention. Yeah, like the chaos that you would see is the hippo being killed, is the, oh my god, a cat. Look at this cat. Oh,
sorry,
man.
she wants petals.
So snuggly. But like literally, like the chaos is the foreigner being defeated, being smited by the pharaoh. Like, that's how chaos is depicted, because why would you depict chaos as like a thing? It's not, it's going to get defeated, of course. Like it's just always reassuring that, oh my god, this cat is just too cute. The little tail on the other end of the is just like so funny.
Why don't you lay down, babe?
What is this cat's name?
Her name is Rio.
Rio Grande.
She's got, like, she's Siamese. Oh, where are you going? Don't want to be on me anymore?
Doesn't want to be on camera.
Don't want to be on camera? You're already on camera. Sorry, girl.
I can't have my face on camera.
She's got these big blue eyes, and she sometimes go cross-eyed because she's a Siamese, and it's so cute.
Oh my god, that's very cute. Alrighty, I think we are gonna move on with set and pop culture, which I'm more excited about this part.
Really?
Yeah, I am, because I briefly like scanned through this, and I know so little of these, and so I want to know so much more. I'm very excited.
I do have more to add to the OPEP thing.
Yeah, absolutely, go for it.
In the religion,
yes,
OPEP is seen as Isfet, which is the exact opposite of Ma'at. Set's chaos is part of Ma'at, so there are two separate, entirely separate beings. So, because even though, like, Set's on Ra's bark fighting OPEP every night, that's what he does.
Yeah,
that's part of his, like, his duality, is that he protects Ra. And so, where was I going with that? Other than that? My brain just shut off.
That's what I call the train has left the station, because I can feel the thought leaving my brain.
Yes.
Like that's I could see it in your eyes. That's what it was.
Yeah, it was like
Stop.
so Set and Apep are two entirely different beings, and their chaos is entirely different as well. So like Isfet is basically his chaos, it has nothing.
Yeah.
That's what he wants. He just wants nothing, existence to be nothing. Set's chaos is more seen as an act of nature, which is what all the Nachiri are.
Yeah, okay.
So then like Set's chaos, like from a Chemeticism standpoint, other than like a historical standpoint, we see him, and I actually explain this later, but we see him more as a god of transformation. So like the change, the growth, the transformation that you have to go through life, that's his chaos. And those things are not easy to go through.
No,
so like
they are quite chaotic.
They are very difficult to go through. I mean, from me being, now it's like 8+ years. I'm working on 8+ years.
Yeah.
Of being with Set. I have moved across country 3 times. Just as an example.
Maybe you should have picked a different god. That seems like too much stress on one person.
I didn't pick him. He picked me.
Even worse. You don't got a choice in the matter. That's not fun.
He came to me and was like, no. And he would not take, like, I know how toxic this is gonna sound. Like, he wouldn't say no for anything, but he would. But I finally was just like, all right, fine. What do you want? And so, like, I started learning more about him and diving more deep within, because most things just scratch the surface for him.
Yeah.
And that's where most people are like, oh no, Set is evil. No, he's not evil.
Yeah.
You think he's evil because you can't go through the transformation that he brings. That's basically, and that's okay. Like it's totally okay to be afraid of those things. I completely understand. I'm terrified of him too.
Yeah. I was gonna say, Paranoid asked what type of events would be described with Set as chaos. And I would say, especially based on like what Amber just said, the flood, the yearly flood, where it's like, it's gonna happen, but do you really know what's gonna happen? Like, it's like, that you are gonna expect it next year, but when is it gonna happen? How bad is it gonna be? And that is the nature. That is like the whole act of that. And one of the ways that I've always described the duality that the Egyptians always see is about the hippo, which ironically is one of Set's animals that he is depicted as. Ancient Egyptians, they worshipped the hippo. They saw that this hippo was a very protective mother over their children. And so the hippo, like the goddess Taweret, was a way to show her as a...
Sorry.
It's another freaking too many puns in this thing.
I love it.
So the hippo is seen like in the goddess Taweret is like a goddess of motherhood and protection and all this stuff. But the other thing is that the Egyptians were like, you know what though? The hippos are real scary. They are real dangerous. They could kill us. So whenever you get like the beautiful little I wonder where oh yeah, there it is. The beautiful little hippo statues, which is a sticker of William that's at the Met, like whenever you see these statues that were placed in the tomb, they've actually broken off the legs so that when the hippo symbolically comes alive in the afterlife, he won't try to kill you because he can't walk, which is awful, but it makes sense in my mind that, yeah, like, I want the mothering aspects, I don't want the killing aspects, and that's that duality and that chaos kind of accepting a creature like that. And I think it's very ironic that I picked that because Set is associated with the hippo a lot as well. Yes. So for me, I'd be much angry with the person who broke my legs. Yes, but could you move is the question, Dapper.
That's true.
You'd have to crawl across the tomb floor, and I don't think you'd be that scary then. I think you'd look a little silly.
I also see Set as like tornadoes, wildfires, hurricanes,
Very true.
any kind of like force of nature of that
Yeah.
thing. Like he's a god, he's a storm god.
Yeah.
So sandstorms. I actually didn't think about the flood until you said something.
Well, I was gonna say I didn't think about any of those things because I was thinking about what happens in ancient Egypt, and they didn't have like tornadoes or they had some storms, but not like as much as they don't get a lot of rain. So I was only thinking flood, but no, you're absolutely right. I think those are good signs of Set that I would associate with the different things of the different type of chaos, the chaos that is like almost expected. Well, actually, no, the wrong word. Is almost necessary.
Yes.
And that's the other thing with the ancient Egyptians is that even though they know that they don't really like chaos, you need it. They knew that you had to have that balance of both. It's very much like a TV trope that you see, like you have to have the balance of both of these things. Even if one rises above the other, eventually it has to balance out. And so I think that's the thing, is that it's this necessary chaos, the chaos that is necessary for life to go on. I would say even death in some instances is also that, because hey, like you gotta die, like it's just necessary for us to move on and do like that.
I even associate. There's even like epithets of his. He has like friend of the dead as an epithet. And like I know there are some people who look at him as kind of like a minor death deity.
Yeah,
which
I would say so.
Kind of makes sense because then like you have Usir, Iset, and then Heru being the triad of like life, and then you've got Set, Nebuchadnezzar, and Anpu being the triad of death, and then there's your balance.
I like that. That is Paranoid.
Things that I think about.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Paranoid, I can't think at the moment of any sort of natural disaster in Egypt. I believe there might be something about an earthquake, but I think I'm feeling that's too late. I'm thinking that's Greco-Roman period, because I do know that there were earthquakes in Alexandria that sunk parts of Alexandria. But the ironic part, which is a whole other tangent that I could go on to, is that every single ancient culture has a flood myth except the Egyptians, because every year they had a flood, so they're not scared of the flood. So the flood is not seen as a natural disaster. That's like the very big indicator that like it's not seen as something that is scary. It is something that is necessary that they will prepare for every year and stuff. But I can't think of anything specifically that I would consider a natural disaster. I feel like I've seen something that they might have talked about an eclipse, but I can't remember. That's too specific and such. Ludo, I'm very glad you haven't been hit by a tornado, because that is my absolute worst freaking fear. I am never moving. I lived in Memphis for 2 years, and I had 2 tornado warnings, and me sitting in a bathtub at like 4 a.m. got me, even though it was nowhere near where I was. I'm like, we're never living in the Midwest. It's not happening. It's never gonna happen. I was already terrified of tornadoes before I lived in the Midwest. I'm never... Also, I will say, I'm a stupid East Coaster, and I did run out to save all of my plants because they were all sitting on, like, the ledge of my balcony, and I'm like, I have to go get my plants in, like, the middle of a tornado warning.
I love that. I have tornado stories, too.
I hate tornadoes so much. I have the biggest fear of tornadoes. But can I not stop watching tornado videos on TikTok? I think it's me preparing... what to do if I see a tornado is that I have to look at all the different versions because they're all different.
Yes.
You slept through a Ludo. Don't make me scared.
I almost did. God.
No.
In Florida, I had one. And
Florida?
Yes, in Florida. When
Not
I
where
lived
you
in Florida. No. We lived in Fort Myers, and this is at the beginning of 2022.
Uh-huh.
It was in January.
Oh my god.
I know.
It's like extra not tornado season. Jesus.
So my parents owned a restaurant on Sanibel Island during this time, and we went down to help them with it. So okay, whatever. We got the tornado warning on our phone. I'm like, there's no way this is coming towards us. So I go back to sleep, and the power goes out. I'm like, oh shit. I've seen too many tornado documentaries to know what this means.
Get to the basement! Get to the bathroom if you don't have a basement! Because Florida doesn't have basements, that's true. Yeah, Florida doesn't have basements.
Florida doesn't have basements.
Oh my God.
So I get up and I get dressed and my husband's just like, look out the window. And I looked out the window and it's coming towards us. It's right there. It's right on our apartment property. And so I pick up my cats and I run into the bathroom.
Yeah.
And I'm freaking out. So the tornado ended up jumping over our apartment complex and continuing its way.
Lucky. Oh my God. I would have cried.
But that's okay.
I would have cried so many happy tears. I'd be like, oh my God, I've been saved. I would convert to whatever religion I was praying to.
Duat.
I'm converting. I'm a Kemeticist now. Like I would. Oh my God, I would have cried so hard. I would have never left the building. I hate that so much.
I mean, later on that year, we got hit by a Category 5 hurricane, so...
Well, yeah. See, I'm used to hurricanes, but granted, where I live, hurricanes hit us, like, the very, very tail end, and so, like, they're usually we prepare really hard and nothing happens, so,
yeah.
I'm a little too inland for that. Alrighty.
That's my tornado. Okay, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. No. We're getting off the sidetrack of all the questions. Good questions, but we gotta go and look at all the different depictions of Set and pop culture, and we're gonna have to see how many of these you guys know, because I didn't know a lot of these at all. So.
Oh gosh, okay. Here we go.
Here we go! There are so many of these, so be prepared, y'all. We're gonna go fast, but not fast. I would have to face you.
I had to start with this one because I had to get it out. I had to get this out.
Can you also say which of these are like a TV show, an anime, like because I don't recognize a lot of these and I'm not sure where they're coming from.
This is from a manhwa, so that's a Korean comic book.
Got it.
And this is a need, and I don't like the story of this at all. It is awful. I feel it's a very awful depiction of almost all the Nachiru in the story, not just Set.
That's a hot take. Okay, cool. Cool, I like that. Right.
Thank you, Lena. I appreciate you. Usir is actually portrayed as a villain-esque character in this, which is usually unheard of. It's interesting, but I don't really... Yeah.
I'll take it. I'll take that. That never happens.
It never happens, but it's not in a good way, though. It's very...
It's not like I'm really pissed off at my brother for killing me, so I might as well become a villain. Oh.
No, it's not like that. Huh. Yeah. However, the artwork is gorgeous.
I was gonna say this is very pretty. It's very pretty.
I mean, the it's very close to how Set comes to me, and very close to how Usir is to me as well, which is. I don't see that often in a lot of folk cultures.
Yeah.
The red hair is very spot on, and I'm very jealous of his red hair. Like, if I could have his hair, I'd be happy. But alas, I cannot have his hair.
Yeah, no.
I even have him as from Enid as my phone background and my computer background. Like, that's how much I love the artwork of this game.
That's so interesting.
But I don't like the story. So the story's not...
All
Some people do, and that's fine. That's totally cool. Just
no, I know. We're going on a purely Egyptological and Kemeticist view on like how we like this. I mean, I probably wouldn't like a lot of these either. Like I would probably I wouldn't be as specific and stuff, but I'm sure I will have a lot of the same opinions if I ever like look or watch any of these.
No, I'm good on that one. Like this one is just funny enough. I went to college with the guy who made Set's model in Smite.
This is a video game, right? Smite?
Yes. Yeah. Smite is a video game.
So cool.
I actually love the way that they did his model. It's great. Except for that his hair's not red, so that's upsetting. But that's okay.
As you say, he does have very donkey ears, though.
He does. It is a donkey head. Which isn't bad. Like, I don't think it's bad. I think it's really neat.
I think he looks like the depictions of Set.
Yeah. And the story that they did was a very interesting take on the Usir myth. It is not necessarily evil, but it's not necessarily good too. So I'll take the neutral part of that and be happy with it.
Yeah.
So it was a very neutral kind of way. So you can totally go on Smite's website and read it if you want to.
Oh, cool. Interesting.
But yeah, I think it's cool. Stargate I didn't watch. However, one of my best friends is a huge fan, and she let me in on this, and that Sutek did start out as the villain of the story, which, boo. Like, I don't like that. However, he does get better within the story, and she equated him to more of like a cult leader, sort of. So I guess that's kind of neutral.
Yeah.
Do you want to look at it that way?
That's not the worst evil thing. But I think, I will say, even though he is not very much a villainous character, I think starting as a villain and getting better is probably the best we're gonna get, because of just how he is seen in pop culture. At least he's not getting worse. Like,
at least he's not getting worse. Yes.
Oh, Luda, that's a very good thing. So all Egyptian gods are villains in Stargate. Okay.
Oh.
So then I think that's actually pretty good if he gets better later. If all the other ones are kind of villains. I still haven't. Again, I haven't watched the TV show. I've only watched the movie, and from what I remember of the movie, there aren't really any. I might be lying. I can't really remember. I spaced out through the very end of the movie because there's a really long fight scene, and I was like, okay, fight scene. And I was gonna say I don't really remember the gods being that big in the actual movie because it was more about the archaeologists discovering the whole site. Ra's in the movie? Okay, I don't remember it enough then. But thank you for telling me, Baha.
I like his hair though. Look how nice.
I know, he looks really nice. Honestly, he's kind of sexy. I'll take that.
Right?
Like,
right?
Yeah. He's kind of sexy. Might as well. But I think he does give off like if I looked at him and I had to guess like which Egyptian god he was, I would have said like Anubis or Set, because like I again associate both of those with like black color and like the hair. Like I would not think that this is like Osiris or Ra or Horus or something. Like this guy he's on the dark side of it. Whatever that dark side means, he's on the dark side of it.
I also didn't watch it. I tried. Okay, I will give you that.
I've watched Doctor Who and I don't remember this episode.
This is from 1963.
Oh, never mind. I haven't watched the historic Doctor Who. Okay.
This episode is from 1963.
Cool,
I tried to watch this. Another best friend of mine who is in chat right now told me that I was going to hate this, and she is correct.
Yep. It's hilariously bad. I always love when things hilariously bad.
It is. Like the
this is from the 70s. Too. Lena, this is Lena. Okay.
Yes.
This is so funny. Oh my god.
There you go. They portray Sutek as like the destroyer, and he left like destruction and leaving nothing in his wake, and to me that is synonymous to Apep, and I don't like it when they do that because they're not synonymous. Like, I hate it when they put them together. There's a couple others in here that you'll see that I've noticed that they put them together, and I'm like, no, let's not do that.
Got it.
So yeah,
Pyramids of Mars is an interesting take as well.
I love this little anime so much.
I need to know where I can watch this. It looks so cute.
It is so cute. I binge watched them because they're really short episodes, but I loved it.
Do you know where you can watch this? Because I'm actually very tempted to watch this.
If I find it again, I'll send it to you.
Please send it.
Yes. They don't really get set right in this because they kind of play him off as like a trickster god, and he's not a trickster god. But
yeah, he does.
But it's still really cute.
He's very cute. I was gonna ask if this was Crunchyroll because I know that does a lot of anime.
Yeah, it might be on Crunchyroll. You might be able to find it on Crunchyroll.
Is Medjed in this? Because it looks like something Medjed. Yeah. Okay. Cool. We gotta.
Yes,
I gotta
Medjed
watch this.
In this. Yes.
I wonder if I could watch this live on stream. Maybe we'll try watching some of this on stream because that would be. I don't know what I'm allowed to watch and not watch on stream because there are some Twitch streamers that just watch like full YouTube videos and I'm like, are you allowed to do that? I have no idea.
I don't either.
But maybe we'll try to
There
watch
is an
this.
episode where there's magical Jehudi or Thoth,
Mm-hmm.
and it's my favorite one. It's so cute because
Oh
it
my
plays
God.
off the magical girl stuff, and I grew up on Sailor Moon. Sailor Moon's my amazing, so I loved it.
That's so funny.
Which is the picture that is depicted on that from that episode. First off, thank you, Gerard Butler, for being the handsome man
so
you are.
much. This is the worst movie
I hate it too.
It's so bad.
I know it's so bad.
It's so
Where
bad,
is
and
Gerard
not even
Butler?
on a like ancient Egypt scale. It's just a bad movie. I just think it's a bad
really
movie.
is. I think so. I didn't watch it, but I read about it. So, I know.
Don't unless you're watching it with people. I will say that the only time we watched it on Discord. The first time I ever watched it, we watched it on Discord, because if people want to see your reactions to watching it, it is quite funny. But we did watch this on Discord, and it was so bad.
maybe I'll have to do that just so people can see my reaction to it. I know that set is like the worst in this movie, and I'm good.
Yeah,
But thanks, Gerard Butler. Thanks.
Yeah, there's a lot of. Yeah, at least it's Gerard Butler. They're all white. They're all white people. Like, please, for the love of God, can we not?
It's like just Egyptian. Just get Egyptian actors.
Get Egyptian
That's
people.
it. So we got
Please. Can we not perpetuate the actual like original theories that Egyptians were descended from Europeans who defeated the native Egyptians? Like, can we please not go back to like the 1890s? Like, please.
There are plenty like Egyptian actors that they could have done for that.
Rami Malek is so hot. He can play anything.
Right?
I fucking love Rami Malek. He's got a twin brother too. He's not an actor, but we could get him in.
We'll get him in there. It's fine.
Actually, I was gonna say the only thing that I liked about Gods of Egypt was Chadwick Boseman as Thoth. Honestly, you should watch it for just Chadwick Boseman as Thoth, because the way they kind of did it, like he's just constantly writing, and there's tons of duplicates of him, and they're all just writing, and I love it. Like I was gonna say the only good part about that is Chadwick Boseman as Thoth.
Fair.
So it's arguably good enough to watch at least just him in that part.
This one, I only came across this because I found out that Set is voiced by one of my most favorite voice actors, which that's me meeting Scott McNeil.
That's so cute.
He came to one of the anime conventions in Columbus, Ohio, and I had to go because I wanted to meet him. And so
what else does he voice? Like that people may know. If it's anime, unfortunately, I will not know. But
Koga from Inuyasha.
Okay.
Duo Maxwell from Gundam Wing.
Okay.
Are the main two that I know. And Set from Mummies Alive.
Unfortunately, I know neither of those, but that's very cool. Hello from Egypt.
I miss Egypt.
We love Egypt. We're talking about how the ancient Egyptian god Set is depicted in pop culture. So we're going through all the different things. So this is a TV show or
This was a TV show, like a cartoon from 1997.
Wow.
So you've got like they're portrayed, him and Ampu both are portrayed by the bumbling idiot 90s villain.
Gotcha.
And I watched like one episode and I'm like, this is awful.
It's so bad.
Which, funny enough, Scott McNeil voices another character in that show too. So
yeah, that's very funny.
Yeah, I'd like to. Yeah.
He's so weird. What animal do we think this is?
Some kind of dog, bulldog.
He looks like a bulldog. Yeah, I think he's gotta be a dog or like a. He kind of looks like a mountain lion, like a lion with like the really short coat or something. There's something weird about his head or something.
Yeah, saber-toothed tiger.
Yeah, he does look like a saber-toothed tiger.
I've only watched one episode of this too.
Oh yeah.
But it is by far the worst like art depiction of Set that I have seen.
Yeah.
He is like the villain throughout the whole series, and it's the really bad kind of like evil incarnation of him, and it's just awful.
Yeah.
It's bad.
He looks like I don't know what he looks like in that one. He looks like it's really gross.
It's scary. I unfortunately did not get to read this in full like I had planned, because I was going to read it over my vacation when I was visiting family. And I absolutely love the Fennec Fox form that they set in this.
Yeah.
And if the creator ever makes a plushie of him, I need to know, because I need to get on that as quickly as I can, because I want one.
I know. I was gonna say, do you know that Megan Carter was on last season of the lectures? Yeah.
No.
We are Instagram mutuals, and she was promoting season 2 of publishing it in a book form, and so she asked if she wanted to be on the stream, and I was like, this is perfect because I don't have a guest next month, and so I have read a good amount of it. I have not like caught up with anything. Very interestingly, I will say he is actually still portrayed as a villain, but in a very interesting way, because if you've never read the comic, it is free online. It's Godslave Comic, I think .com, but if you look up Godslave, you'll be able to find it. It's all online, and then you can purchase like book forms of it. I actually just got my copy of the season 2 book, which I want to read in person a little bit because it's a little easier for me to read. The whole main plot of it is that this character, which I sadly can't remember her name, she is in the museum, in a big museum, and there is this like Secret Service type guy carrying what looks like a canopic jar, and she accidentally bumps into him, and it cracks and falls, and this little tiny Fennec Fox comes out of it and essentially starts to like defend her and save her, and kind of gives her these powers. And it is implied is that the other Egyptian gods, which are now living freely in our world, very similar to sort of Percy Jackson in a way, like they're like, or probably more closer to, what's that TV show, like, was it Gods of America or something?
American
Gods, yeah, American Gods. Similar to that, in which like they're living in the world around us and you just don't know it. That they have captured like Set because he did something, and that he has pieces of his soul are missing. Very similar to like kind of Horcruxes, which is kind of funny. That there are pieces of his soul in different parts, and she has to kind of recapture them, and she's helping him. But he's very sassy. He's kind of mean to her. Like kind of he's very demanding, but it's just very cute because she just doesn't take it. Like she's a very strong-willed like person, and like she doesn't have to help him and stuff. But the interesting thing is like kind of he's very secretive. That's one thing. He's very secretive. He's not really telling her everything, and she knows it, that he's like lying to her. And the other gods all hate him, but when you kind of look at all the other gods, you realize it's like, are they the villains? Like, it's kind of, I think that's the thing, that it's like, are they all villains? They kind of are all villains. And it's like, I haven't gotten to any close to the part, because I think it's still technically ongoing. She usually publishes, I think, like a page a week, I think. Like, I don't know where it ends. I do not know like what the story is and why they captured him in this whole thing, but it's a very interesting take, because it's not really like, it is kind of villain, but it doesn't really feel like it. And I think it's a very, very good take on it.
That's the kind of feel that I got whenever I only got to read like some of the panels, and when I was reading some of the panels with the other gods, that's the kind of like the vibe that I got, especially when Heru was there.
Oh, Heru, absolutely, yeah. Heru is the big mob boss kind of, yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's the vibe that I got. I also got the vibe that Zet was more stoic in the comic, and I feel that can be very accurate for him, at least in my experience. He does have that kind of like stoic
I'd agree
to
absolutely
him. So
but yeah, everyone should go read this. It's amazing. Megan is great. We were able to set up a whole thing where she got to draw custom stuff as we were streaming. That eventually Eventually, that lecture will be on my YouTube. I am slowly going through the process of publishing all of the guest lectures on YouTube, and so eventually that will be there and people can watch it. It's from last year, but we had a lot of fun because honestly, it was fun having somebody who is so deep into Egyptian mythology for her job, but also does not have any sort of academic experience. Is like literally only doing research for this. And she lives in Canada, so she actually has a lot of access to some pretty good museums and stuff, and so she talks about going to a lot of those different museums and kind of using that as resources and stuff. It's a really great lecture. I really enjoyed chatting with her about that.
I only have like the Seattle Art Museum, and they have a very, very small Egyptian section.
Yeah.
And
you just gotta visit and go other places too. I was gonna say M4Z3. Both of us have actually been to Egypt already. It's been a little bit for Amber. I went much more recently, but we both plan to go to Egypt again as well.
Yes, I want to go back so bad.
Very bad.
But hey, I didn't think Set could become a vampire. But hey, I love vampires. Let's go.
What? Oh,
yeah.
Oh my god.
So this is a role-playing game, like sort of like D&D. And
no way.
Yes,
you
way.
played
So,
this, Baha? Oh my
I
god.
haven't.
That's so funny. Baha's played
That's
this? I've never heard of this. Oh my god.
I haven't played it. However, they do kind of put Set and Opet together. Either I think in this he's a worshiper of him, and that's just like
yeah. Yeah. I could see why people would think that because of both of their association with chaos, but yeah, that's not that great.
Yeah. I think it's interesting how they took a lot of Set stories and kind of like weave the vampirism into it. It was interesting. I don't like the overall evilness that they put on him, but
it's very interesting.
I think it's interesting. Yeah.
That's weird. I cannot believe that.
Speaking of D&D and Pathfinder.
Yeah.
Time to roll initiative. Let's go.
Let's go. Mummy the Resurrection. Whoa.
Ooh.
We gotta hit up all of these like Egypt themed.
Yes, I know there's a board game called like Ankh or something. I think
there is a board game called Ankh. There's also a board game called Imhotep.
Yeah.
That's a building one. I don't think that would be that as fun as I think it would be. But yeah, I've seen the one that's Ankh. I haven't played that one.
But in D&D, Set is a chaotic evil deity in the pantheon, which is incorrect.
Yeah.
Set's not evil, and the chaos that he brings to the table isn't evil. So and I talked about that before, where it's the chaos needed for change and all that stuff. Lena, no, you almost
liked it. We'll have to talk about this soon, because that seems like honestly, that seems like a fun thing. I wonder if maybe I'll do a lecture where I just try to find all these pop culture references for ancient Egypt, because
that would be fun.
I think that would be fun. And I would take from this thing, and then also like other board games and video games. I think that'd be cool. Yeah, maybe I'm thinking. I think I wrote what my lecture will be next week, like next month, and it's a really hard topic, and I have not had time to research it, so I'm trying to think if I can do something that's a little easier.
Oh, that's fair. No, that's understandable.
Like I literally was like, ugh, that's a deep topic that I should do later when I have more time.
That's funny. I do the same thing.
Oh my god. All right.
In Pathfinder, he's a neutral evil deity, and I wish they could have just kept it at neutral.
I was gonna say, would you accept chaotic neutral?
Maybe.
I mean, yeah, you're right. It depends on the chaos, so...
Yeah, it depends on how they depict the chaos.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
They also list... There's some places that list him as, like, a god of darkness or something like that, too, and that's what they did with Pathfinder, and I don't know where they get this. I have not seen this in my research at all, and I'm like, where is this?
I mean, do we think that has something to do with storms? which is like sort of not even really his thing, but like storms and darkness. But as you can see, like, it's kind of funny, like, the redhead thing is boggling my mind, because a lot of these images he is in black, and that's always how I've associated him. But you're right, like, that is so, I wonder if it's honestly that. I wonder if it's just that he's usually depicted in black, and people expect him to be depicted in black, even though he's more of a red guy.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, it's interesting.
He doesn't personify evil, by the way. a lot of places like this make him personify evil, but no,
yeah.
that's more so Ophet's kind of thing.
Yeah.
Speaking of, this is a video game. It's a video game series, and he is portrayed as the Black Dragon in later series. It should have been a red one, but I digress.
We're learning new things, man. I'm like,
he should have been red.
He's supposed to be black. I was like, it's like the pink and blue dress from Sleeping Beauty.
Yes.
Me and my roommate in college had a very deep fight about this, because she is a pink Aurora dress and I'm a blue Aurora dress person, and I realized it's because all of my toys growing up were always the blue version. Like, I really it had nothing to do with me liking blue better than pink. It was all of my toys, when I looked at them, they were all blue, and she liked pink, and so it was very funny how that kind of was like, no, her color is blue. What are we talking about here? But no.
That's funny. It's great.
It's a dragon.
They do list him as a god of evil in this, which is incorrect. And then they also have this sick ass art piece. Like, I love Japanese art so much sometimes, but they have him as this green snake in some of their artwork, and that to me is like them combining them with Ophet again with. And they're just not synonymous, so. But
here's my
at least
question:
the artwork's cool.
Is this snake grabbing a satellite?
It looks like it. A satellite, maybe a space station.
It's wild.
I have no idea. I haven't played this game, and I'm thinking I might start playing this game. I don't know. I might. Who knows?
Reddits are all unhinged.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That's fair.
Interesting.
Honestly,
the space station is like throwing me for, because I'm looking at this blue thing, and I'm like, is this a planet? And I'm like, and then this is the sky, and I'm like, does that mean this is a space station? Why is there a snake in a space station? There's snakes on a plane.
snakes on a space station.
Snakes on a space station. Get these motherfucking snakes off my motherfucking space station. Oh my god. Yeah, that is it. That is very strange.
That's really
Samuel
funny,
Jackson
yeah.
will clean house. Yes, he will.
Yes.
Yes, he will.
Oh.
I did play this game. I played this game.
Did you? I have it. I got it when I was first starting to be walking this path with Set, and I was so excited because I love Lara Croft. I grew up on Lara Croft, and I should have known, because it's Amma Temple of Osiris. I should have known that they were going to make Set the villain.
Yeah.
And so I downloaded it, and I'm like looking up information about it, and they're like, Set's the villain, and I'm like, uninstall.
Uninstall! It's not that great, I'll tell you.
It's not?
Harusakaman is 100% accurate. What are you talking about? I've never played any. This is the only Lara Croft game I've played. It's it's not a normal Lara Croft game. It's not like one that you have like that you're more walking around and you can like do stuff. This one is very much like there are tiny little stations and stuff, and you're very tiny, and then this scene, which like if I remember correctly, this is the final scene. Like you don't really even see him anytime kind of before this, if I kind of remember correctly. But like it was okay. I don't think it was a good probably first impression for me playing Lara Croft, because it's not really like, it's the only one that's Egypt themed, so that's the only reason why we played it.
Yeah,
and I'm sure that I know that there are 100% better Lara Croft games and stuff. But it was just it was just kind of okay. It was just kind of fine.
Yeah, that's fair. It's like I should probably sit down and play this. It'll be fine.
Oh yes, I do think I remember that. I think I remember that. Oh, that is true. Yes, Lena, I have been told that. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I would only, to be honest, I have a very bad track record with all these 90s games. I think I would only want to play like recent Lara Croft games, because oh my god, the way I hate this game was hard. There were certain parts that were just like it just didn't make any sense, and every time we play one of the Indiana Jones point and click games, I'm about to rip my hair out. Yeah, so I feel like I probably would only, if I played any Lara Croft, I'd only play probably like the most recent one that's like normal animation, not the pointy boobs, and then like the. Also, I'm not good at sharpshooting, so like I doubt that I'm gonna be good in a very old game that like doesn't have the technology to do it. Yeah,
the controls are gonna be very, very difficult.
Oh god, I hate it so much. I hate it so much.
They were hard back then, so
yeah. That is true. I do know that they just remastered them, so I'm more willing to test out those, but I'm definitely not doing the originals.
Yeah, no, I would not.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it was like an okay game. I think for the most part, like it had a very cool like little world that like looked like ancient Egypt and flooded and kind of did cool little things and stuff, but it was kind of just like weird in general.
Yeah.
But if you play like other 90s game in Lara Croft, I'm sure you will like it more than probably I would.
I'll have to give it a try. Eventually.
It's probably short too. I don't think it took us that long. Maybe like two or three streams worth, which at the time I'm just pretty much figuring the puzzles out, because that's also puzzles. I'm bad at puzzles. I like puzzles, but I'm bad at puzzles.
That's fair.
I don't have video game. I don't have video game puzzle intuition. I have normal puzzle intuition. I don't have video game puzzle intuition. I can't remember if I had to cheat on that one. I have had to cheat on a lot of puzzle games. And I will full confess that I've had to do it so many times.
I had to do it on some of these games too. Like even in Genshin, like when I play Genshin, there's some of the puzzles that are not intuitive at all. And I'm like, what the hell is this?
I know.
So
bad.
I completely understand.
So bad.
Funny enough, I just purchased this game because it's like $3 on Steam right now.
Oh, okay.
So I might play this. They do have Sutek as the villain, criminal underboss who beautifies the gangs of the city, which is like questionable, sus, whatever.
Yeah.
They do the way that they worded it on like the Wikipedia page that I got this from, like they make him reign over violence, and I'm like, really, guys?
No.
Like, okay, I get it. War and stuff like that can be very violent, but
it can be very chaotic, but it leans on the more violent chaotic than.
Yes.
I could see him being like the crime. So let's say there's a war going on. I could see him being like the crime boss who is like smuggling weapons to like the enemy of the, like I could see him kind of doing things like that have nothing to, like he's just messing up the war, if that makes sense. Like I could kind of see him do something like that, like he's inserting himself in places that he should not be and making it more chaotic, rather than him being like the general that's like fucking everyone up. Like I could kind of see him as like that kind of, I'm just gonna stick my hand in it and just move it around. Like I could see him being like that, which is evil in some senses, but I feel like it's that adding to the bit of chaos and that bit of like unpredictability. But you're right, it is, he is more the nature one, which would be a different thing, but I could kind of see him being like, I just want to add some spice. A little spice.
Just a little sprinkle.
Little sprinkles of spice, yeah. I might have to get this if this is on sale.
It is. It's like free something.
Let's
right now.
go.
Yeah.
Oh, this movie. This movie was wild.
It was very wild.
It's been a long time since I've seen this movie. I saw this movie in theaters in London.
Nice. No, the first time I watched it was whenever I first moved to Seattle back in like 2017, and I'm watching it and I'm seeing this procession go by, and all of a sudden I see Set, and I'm like, what is this? I was so excited.
Yeah. I think they look really good, like, but the whole story was fucking wild.
Yes.
I also just find it so ironic that it was, what's his name, who was then later in Moon Knight, was the villain.
Oh, yeah.
I can't remember his name now. Oscar Isaac. Oscar Isaac was the villain in X-Men Apocalypse, but then he was Moon Knight in the TV show.
I do love Moon Knight.
I do love Moon Knight too. There are certain parts I like about Moon Knight. I was actually thinking about this. I was like, because I noticed you didn't include it, but I was really thinking, I was like, I don't feel like I saw Set at all in Moon Knight.
No.
There's not a lot of cuts. There's a couple little, I actually think there's a tiny little statue that might be set in one of the, in that area, but I don't think there's really anything else.
I think it's a replica of the statue of Set and Haru blessing Ramses the Third that's in Cairo Museum.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah.
I was so excited when I saw it. I was like, it's Set!
Yeah.
It's in Moon Knight, guys!
Yeah.
They depict him as the Horseman of War in this, and while I'm like, okay, I'm surprised. I mean, he is a war god. I'm actually surprised that they did this. But then again, you know, he works for the villain, so I'm guessing that he's the villain too. So
yeah, I guess that's true.
But hey, if they want to give me that statue of Set that they've got on set,
I'll take it.
I'll take it.
I love that headpiece. The headpiece is awesome.
Yeah, the headpiece is
very,
awesome.
very like Tutankhamun mask plus God. I love that. Yeah.
Funny enough, I just came across this, I think, Thursday. Right when I finished the PowerPoint, I come across this, and I'm like, I have to do this. And so there's only 13 chapters of this manga.
Pause for a second. We are getting a lovely raid from Rocket Sage. Yay! Hi, raiders! If you don't know me, my name is MelissainDeNile. I'm an Egyptologist and archaeologist, and I stream Egyptology and archaeology games here on Stream. And we are doing season 2 of our Beyond the Nile guest lecture series, but the guest version, because we are here with Amber, or Desert Rose Goddess. Desert Rose Goddess, she streams, you should follow her. I'm gonna do a shout out when we finish with Rocket Sages. But we're doing, finishing up, we're almost finished, but we still got a little bit longer, so welcome in, you feel free to stay for a while. We are talking about how the god Set, otherwise known as the chaotic, in an interesting way, deity, brother of Osiris, Isis, and Nephthys, how he's been depicted in pop culture. We did a whole little thing at the very beginning, if you want to go back and watch the VOD, about how Set is looked at. This is all Amber's research, which is like literally amazing. How Set was seen throughout every different time period in ancient Egypt, and now we're going through some different pop culture references for Set. So welcome in, Rocket Sage. Amber, if you do not know Rocket Sage loves rocks. And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Rocket Sage, I believe you are a volcanologist? Correct me if I'm wrong. I know you love rocks and science and another EDU streamer like myself, so we are very grateful for you to come on in, and thank you so much, Open Set, which is a great name for this stream. But is it geologist? Thank you. I did know. I will confess, I forgot the word for a rock scientist for a second, so I just said rock scientist.
I love rocks.
We love rocks. We love rocks.
I do love it. I've got some rocks on my desk.
I was gonna say I also have those. I have some rocks that I picked up at a beach and stuff. But yeah, we love our science EDU streamers and such. Oh my God, Open Set is all about those sets and Set. We've been making some very good Set puns.
We have been.
Broken Symmetry just made another one. We are ready, set to go and learn. Yes, absolutely. We've made so many already.
I think we're making Set very proud of us.
We are, absolutely. This is great. So yeah, welcome in, everyone. Feel free to hang around. We still got a little bit more, and then the VOD will go up if you want to fill yourself into the beginning of this lecture, and then what was I gonna say? Then they will eventually go on my YouTube. What I was gonna say. We are open to random questions about Egypt. I will recommend, just because we're still finishing up the lecture portion, there is a channel point at the bottom that is lecture questions. That is one channel point. If you don't mind putting in any of those questions in that thing so that we can put them essentially in the queue, and then if they are like more pertaining to Egyptology, like I can answer them at the very end of the stream, if you don't mind staying for a while. I think we still got a couple more slides, but we don't have much more left. The sun will never set on bright content. This is a good one. That's a good one. More.
That's a good one.
More. So many good puns. So many good puns.
I love it.
But yes, fill in any questions and we will go through some of the answers in just a sec. So let's continue on. I want to hear more about this manga that she added literally 2 days, like a day after she sent me the PowerPoint. She's like, I found another one. I have to change the PowerPoint.
Yes, I did. I'm so excited finding this. The artwork is gorgeous.
It is.
I love this artwork.
That's like an 8-pack on that guy right there. Like there's like a muscle in the center underneath his pecs. I don't think that's how that works.
No, I don't think so either. That's okay. It's all right. He's a god. It's fine. Chaos. I don't particularly like the way this set is depicted at the beginning of this manga. It is very violent. Do not like it. However, he does get better as the story progresses a little bit, and
we love a changing man, especially when
we do.
That's sexy. It's like
right? Look at him.
Yeah, it's like the hair is insane in this picture. Like,
I wish I had his hair.
I know. I wish I had his hair. You've never known me. I had red hair. I dyed my hair red all throughout college, and I've always wanted my hair to be that color. So I've always wanted red hair like that.
Oh, same. Which is funny because I did my hair last Friday. not even like thinking, because like I have natural auburn hair. During the summer it gets redder and lighter, but it's when I live in Seattle, so I don't really get out in the sun very
yeah
so my hair doesn't do that, and I'm like, I miss having my red hair. And so I'm like, Mom, because I was visiting family, like, could we dye my hair when I come? And she's like, yeah, duh. And so we're going looking at the dye, and she picked this.
It's okay. I think your mom has left the chat, so you can say anything bad about the color if you want.
No, I love it.
That's
I loved it. I was like, yes, this is the red that I wanted because it's close to this. And I'm like, finally. And now it's kind of like fading, and it doesn't stay very. And I'm like, of course, but that's all right.
Of course. Although, if you want, you can put in any question at any time about any other god, and we can answer it in a second. Absolutely.
Definitely.
It's a god bra muscle for magical pets. It is like these little wings that are just like holding his pecs together. Oh, they can set their muscles wherever they want. Broken symmetry. The puns!
I love this!
I need a badum-chu sound effect.
Yeah. That would be funny.
I'm not sure how many books Amber has on this list. I think it's more manga and anime and TV shows. I was gonna say, I haven't read the Egypt half of Percy Jackson, so I don't know if he is mentioned in that one. I might have to...
He is. I do know that, and I know in the first book he is the villain, and
got it.
I almost picked it up, and then I read the back of it, and it was said as the villain, and then I put it back down.
Of course. I don't believe Amber is a TKF member, but actually you should be. If you don't know what TKF is, Rocket Sage is part of, and I am part of it. It's called the Knowledge Foundation. No, wait. I know what it is. Fellowship. I know what it is. I'm in it. Fellowship. It's a group of streamers, like EDU streamers who teach stuff on stream. And so like Amber's a Kemeticist, so she is somebody who practices the ancient Egyptian religion in her personal life. And so like I feel like she would fall in a very interesting category that honestly I don't know if I don't know if the TKF really has. So I'll hit you up with the details, or Rocket Sage can hit you up with the details because she's the co-founder and
love
stuff.
Yes.
We're really cool over here. Got a very interesting group of people from all different walks of science and art and life and such.
Oh, that's fun. That is actually really fun. I love that.
Yay! Rocket Sage, you're lovely. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So we were talking about the Kane Chronicles. Yeah, so that's the one we were just talking about. I couldn't remember the name of it, but yeah, so I have not read it, but I know that I should. I actually think I have, looking at my bookshelf over there, I think I actually have like the first 2. I am not a good reader, unfortunately. I really want to be, but I am not, as you can witness by my giant bookshelf of books that I have never read. I've read some of these. I've not read all of them. I do actually have a new, no, you're totally fine. I do actually have a new Amazon storefront where I have put book recommendations that I have about ancient Egypt on there. There's like multiple lists. There's like art history ones, fiction ones, kids books, and kids activity boxes. Those are all on my Amazon storefront. It's amazon.com/store/MelissainDeNile if you want to look it up. I forgot to put the link in there should be a link in the chat, but I forgot to put it, so I might just type it in. But continue. Are we going to the next one? Yes. Honorable mentions. I got it clear. Give me a second. I'm gonna type it in while Amber talks.
You're fine. I do love that manga, by the way. Like, I did read all of it because there's only 13 chapters, and I was kind of enamored. Some of the characters are just kind of like, the way that they depict Nebuchadnezzar in it is kind of questionable, but it's the anime trope, I guess. And the story, they did at first have Opep as the villain, which I was like, oh my god, finally, yes. And then something else happens, and I'm still kind of like, yes, I still like this, because you can tell that the author really did their research on it, because not a lot of pop culture. I don't want to give the.
I was gonna say, hit me up where this is. I want to read this.
Yes, it's a lot of people don't use this as a trope when they go through the Usir myths.
You have piqued my interest. I want to read it.
The research is there, and I'm sitting there like, nobody uses this. I kind of vibe with this. This is okay. Like, this is cool. So, yeah, I will send it to you.
That's great.
If you guys want to read it, I would read it.
I will pass it along. That sounds great. Honorable mentions.
Honorable mentions. My first one. Yes. I had to put Seto in this.
Oh god, I always forget about Yu-Gi-Oh! As Egyptian. This is genuinely like, I was thinking about this the other day, and I literally was like, because somebody had asked me this, I think, on TikTok, and I literally was like, is Yu-Gi-Oh! Ancient Egyptian? And I would literally, like, my brother was a huge Yu-Gi-Oh! Card person, and I vaguely remember, like, playing it once with him. But to be honest, I'm so shocked that I didn't remember that it was, because I was such an Ancient Egypt fan when I was a kid. If I knew that this was Ancient Egypt, like which makes me feel like, I don't know if I was just dumb or if they're very subtle Ancient Egyptian references, but like I 100% would have played this with my brother like all the time and watched the show all the time if I knew this was Ancient Egyptian. And I feel like I just missed it.
I didn't get into it when I was younger. Like, I wasn't. A lot of comedics will be like, I was into Ancient Egypt since I was like 7. I didn't get that. Like, I didn't get that until. So
okay, I don't feel bad about it then, because I was thinking about this, because literally I think all my brother's Yu-Gi-Oh cards are still probably at my parents' house. I could probably go find them. I don't think my mom got rid of them.
I recently just binge watched the first season like last year of Yu-Gi-Oh. Last year I went to visit family again, and I binge watched it on Netflix. And then this year when I went, I was watching season 2 on Disney Plus, which is on Disney Plus. So if you have Disney Plus, Yu-Gi-Oh's there.
Interesting.
It is awful, but I love it. Like, so bad, but I love it. And Seto is named after Set because Seto is the Japanese way of saying Set. And they don't give Set justice because Seto's a jerk, but I love it so much.
That's so funny. I am now remembering the upside down pyramid that Yugi had. I totally forgot. Thank you, Rocket Sage. Also, apparently I wasn't on the TKF website. I didn't know that. I'm so bad at updating Discord and things like that, so please let me know if I can do anything, because I always forget. I've always forgot. Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged forever lives in my memories, the early days of YouTube. Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged.
Oh my god, that's funny. That shit's funny.
Resemble the 5 parts of the EXO. I'm slowly, like, things are coming back to me as we're talking about this, and I'm like, I sort of remember this. That's so funny. I don't know, somebody just said that. Where was it? It was in, Florine. Florine Boron said that I'm in the streamer list, but I'm not on the website. That's what Florian just said. Yeah. It's very funny. I was just, and I will say, like, Tuttenstein technically was on TV, I think, when I was a kid. But I never watched Tuttenstein. And there's also another one. Thank you, Rocket Sage. Yeah. But yeah, so there are certain things that I didn't follow a lot in Ancient Egypt when I was a kid. And technically, like again, the Mummy came out when I was, well, came out when I was 4, so that's like, I'm too young to watch the Mummy. But like, it was around. Like, I just didn't watch it until I was in college.
I didn't either.
Yeah.
I didn't either. I didn't.
And somebody essentially forced me to. That was the big thing, is that one of my friends who was like, "What do you mean you haven't watched the Mummy?" And I told her, "What do you mean you haven't seen Indiana Jones?" And so we swapped, and so we watched one Indiana Jones, the Mummy, the second Indiana Jones, the second Mummy, the third. Oh no! I think we actually, I don't know if I ever got her to watch. We skipped the third Indiana Jones and we skipped the third Mummy, but I don't know if I ever got her to watch the fourth Indiana Jones, which is one of my favorites. But we don't talk. Well, we do talk about that, but yeah, we were talking about Stargate earlier a little bit, Alba, but not very much. No, oh, sorry. No, I skipped the second one. Sorry. Yeah, sorry. I skipped. We watched The Last Crusade. No, we watched the first one, then the third one, and I think we didn't watch the fourth one. Yeah, sorry. We skipped Temple of Doom, as per most people should. Don't watch Temple of Doom. It's boring.
That's fair.
And also, it did actually terrify me as a child when they ripped the heart out. I was genuinely, like, so bad. Alright, what is this one?
Genshin Impact. I love Genshin Impact.
Do I have to play this game?
They do.
I don't know.
I don't know. If you do, let me know. It's a gacha game.
It looks like a lot of stuff going on.
There's so much going on.
I don't know if I like that.
There's a lot. There's a lot. So Sumeru is a region in Genshin, which they kind of take ancient Egypt alongside like the Middle East and India, and they kind of like combine it into Sumeru. And so they do utilize a lot of Egyptian myths in its stories. You'll see characters like Sinnoh and Candace, and I think Deha has a little bit, but they have like a little bit more of they're from the desert, so they have more of the ancient Egyptian influences on them. And they do take another spelling of Set's name, Setek, in 2 of their desert regions, doing from Upper and Lower Egypt, Upper and Lower Setek. And then they also have Setek Winnut, which is a world boss. So they take Setek and then like the rabbit goddess Winnut and put that into a name.
Rabbit one, yeah. That's a rare one. That's one that's not really thrown around a lot. I forgot about that one.
Yes. And then they recently just added Sethos, which I'm like, okay, they obviously took that from Set. And then when I was doing my research for this PowerPoint, I came across Ramses II's great grandfather, whose name is Sethos.
Oh.
So that's probably where they got his
That's
name.
probably where they got it from. That's funny.
Which is again Set. So I'm like, he's coming up on the banner, next character banner, and I am rolling for him, and I hope I get him.
Yeah. Very cool.
I'm excited. These are actually my.
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna call myself out on this, but these are my screenshots I took in game. So yeah, I have all of the desert regions 100%ed in.
Cool.
So like, all the work that I did in that.
Love it.
Sumeru is my favorite region.
Very cool.
I do like Genshin Impact, but Assassin's Creed.
Assassin's Creed. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love Assassin's Creed Origins.
It's the best.
I am so sad I don't see a lot of Set in this game because, as we've learned during the Greco-Roman period, in like the Fayum and in the Oases, they still worship Set.
Mm-hmm.
So not seeing more of him in the game was very upsetting, but we do kind of casually see him mentioned in Papyrus and side quests. There was one side quest that I did, and we had to save this girl from something. I forget what it was, but we had to run away on a chariot, and when we save her, she's just like, we were just like Set. And I'm like, yes, we were. And then we also have Sutek, the character from the DLC.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I adore him.
Yeah.
Poor little guy. Like, I love him. He is a being, and he has red hair too.
He does have red hair. I remember this guy. I remember the red hair of him. Yeah, I was in general a little bit disappointed with how they did the gods in Assassin's Creed because and granted I'm not as familiar with like these are things that I have to look up that I just can't keep in my mind space of like what major cities are associated with what major god and like what temples are found in those different places and stuff. But I was always kind of disappointed that like the temples were very copied over. Like everything was the same in every single temple, with the some exceptions. Like when you get to see Sobek ones, like you do see more of images of Sobek and stuff, but all the images, which like I understand the devs, that is a lot of work to do. I do understand, and I'm not gonna, this is like one of the minor problems I have with the game. It's not one of the nearly the major ones and stuff. Yeah. And so the way that they would do temples and stuff, just like copy and pasting everything and images that you would see and stuff, and you're just like, okay, like there was only probably, I don't think, no more than 5 gods that they did temples for. I don't think there weren't that many, if I remember.
No, there weren't.
And so yeah, it's like that's fine. But again, this is also the Greco-Roman period, and like this is a weird time period, so I kind of accept that like there's weird things going on and stuff.
I agree. I say that all the time in my streams too. Because on Fridays I do Assassin's Creed Origins, and that's when I was just like, hey, let's do this for fun. I'll teach you about the gods. I'll teach you about the religion as we go through, and then I recognize some of these hieroglyphs, and I can tell you what these hieroglyphs mean because I recognize them. But it's just the repeated textures over and over and over again. I'm like,
I was gonna say, was Set, like, I know that they do have like areas in the Fayum and stuff, and they do like Philadelphia and Crocodiliopolis and stuff. Was Set one of the major gods in the Fayum, or was he, in comparison to like the big ones that were worshipped, was he still kind of minor? Like this is a good time for him to be worshipped, but in comparison he was much more lower on the scale than some of the other ones.
I think that he was much more lower just because of the time period. Yeah. Like, since, Greco-Roman. But I know in the Dakhla and the Karga Oasis.
Oh, okay, yeah.
He was very much
higher up. Gotcha.
Up there, yeah.
Okay.
Because he and Nepthat were both worshipped as like Lord and Mistress of the Oasis, which are my favorite epithets of the two.
That's a pretty good epithet. I like that.
I love my OTP Nepthat set.
Love it.
So I love those epithets where they put those two together.
That's a cool one. I like that. I've never heard that one before. All right.
So
it's the end.
Who Set is, at least in my experience, Set has been a beautiful force of nature, which is what the Nachiru really are, whether that be a calm and gentle rainy day to a huge hurricane. Set's chaos has been needed for growth. Most of us, his devotees, see him as such, so his chaos is ba'at, a balance to Heru's order, and is very much needed. You can't have order without chaos, and you can't have chaos without order. Throughout history, however, Set has been depicted and portrayed as the villain of the story, and I hope that this has helped you see him in a different and more positive light.
Yay!
My nose itched.
Yay! I was gonna say, where's my? I have an applause sound. Where'd it go? So, does anyone have any last questions? Pretty much throw out any questions that you have, even if it has nothing to do with Set, about ancient Egypt, about anything like that. I know I got one from Claire saying, do you think there is any coyote Kokapelli? I'm gonna guess what that is. Low-key aspects to Set, trickster at all, which I know you briefly talked about, but I think I would love a little bit more as well about that.
No. So Loki's trickster chaos is very mischievous, very, how do I explain that?
Yeah, it is hard because I can understand that chaos and trickster are very, very close in hand. But I really think if you keep thinking of the natural order chaos, the thunderstorms, the tornadoes, the hurricanes, that kind of chaos, that's not really trickster, that's just life.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
And Set's chaos is very much like that. It's very strategic. It's very...
Yeah.
It's that balance. It's never that... what's a good example? Because I don't know Loki very well.
Yeah, that's also true. I don't know Loki.
I don't know Loki very well.
I only know Marvel Loki, which is not Loki. So
yeah, which is not Loki, and that's. But I from seeing, because a lot of Loki's followers find me and follow me, which is really funny. So like a lot of things I see a lot of even on my FYP, I see them talking about Loki, and while Loki can have like his very serious chaos, it's still kind of like that trickster vibe, and I don't know how it was depicted in history, because I don't have the time to sit down and like research Loki. I'm sorry, Loki.
It's wrong time period. I don't got time.
Yeah, pretty much.
I hate to say it, believe me, I would love to learn so much about it, but unless I'm doing it for MelissainDeNile or unless I'm doing it for work, I'm only going to learn about those two different things. I don't got time to look at anything else.
I don't. And that's also why I don't really like, a lot of people will mix their pantheons. They'll worship like Set and Loki and Zeus, just to name a few, all at the same time, and I'm like, how do you do that?
Yeah.
I don't have the time to put, give those other gods the love and devotion that they deserve, so I don't mix pantheons, so I don't have the time to sit down and like research Loki or sit down. That way I can teach about him. That way maybe I should do a little bit more, and that way I can sit down and be like, well, this is Set.
Yeah.
And this is the little thing that I know about Loki, but all in all, they're two entirely different chaos. And ancient Egypt doesn't really have a trickster god that I know of.
Yeah. I think that's another thing that I've had to interact with, which, like, people assume that there are equivalents for every single pantheon, and there are not. And most of the equivalents that people make are very incorrect. Like, again, I think a lot of people have said that Anubis and who was it? because a lot of people think he's the god of the dead, so that Hades and Anubis are the same. And I'm like, no. Like, if we have to equate anyone, I would see Anubis as either Charon, the guy on the sticks, or I see him more as a Hermes because he's both in real life and in the afterlife, and he's this person that kind of walks you through the afterlife and stuff.
Right.
But there's the other thing is that people also think that there's only one god for each attribute in the world, and I'm like, no. There are like at least 5 Egyptian gods or goddesses that have to do with childbirth and motherhood. Like, I could name, there's Toeret, there's Best, there's Hathor. Isis even has a lot of motherhood stuff for her. Like, there are so many of these gods. So it's like, it doesn't work like that. And even honestly, I think the other pantheons also don't work like that. But I think we just assume. And yeah, oh god, fertility gods, absolutely. Like, yes. Like, absolutely and stuff. So yeah, it's nothing is really like assumed like with that.
They were sirens. I'm sorry, I had to mute myself. Ambulance went by, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Does anyone else have any last questions about anything that has to do with Egyptian or Set and stuff? That was just such a great lecture. I learned so much. I did not know Set was worshipped. I really only think of him mostly in like the Hyksos and stuff, but it is also interesting that that's where a lot of his villainy might kind of start.
Yeah.
In an interesting
Breaks
way.
my heart.
Yeah. I really thought you were gonna like totally put that time period on a pedestal. I really thought you were.
Yeah.
And so I'm very glad I was wrong, because that is it's just a good point, because it's like yeah, this is a really great time for him, but it's also almost perpetuating the wrong thing.
Mm-hmm.
Claire.
Oh, I get to go talk about
Claire, you're so nice. What do you think about chat loving this stream and enjoying your time and effort so much?
Oh,
Claire, you're too fucking nice.
I love you. Thank you.
I love you guys. I mean, this is great because this is genuinely. This was. Oh yes, Rahab. We did talk about that before. But we'll talk about it again for anyone who wasn't here. This was an idea that we literally had in the middle of Amber's lecture last season on Beyond the Nile, because I was just like, honestly, Set, you were right. Set is always the villain in all of these ancient Egyptian themed shows, movies, books, and stuff like that. And I literally was like, Amber, I would love to have your take on this. And this was literally just like a secondary thing to get Amber on the stream.
He's my Roman Empire.
He's a Roman Empire.
Anytime.
I wish I had a specific Roman Empire. I find my Roman Empire is only ancient Egypt, and I wish I had a specific one. I probably could think of one, but I feel like it's just ancient Egypt. So Rahab, what we talked about earlier about the head of the god Set, or when he's depicted as a full animal, not a combination of a human and an animal. The main scholarly theories are going to be a donkey, a dog-ish, what am I missing? I'm missing
Giraffe.
Aardvark.
Someone even mentioned a fennec fox once.
Yeah, some sort of fox-ish thing.
I think I've seen African dog as well.
Oh, honestly, a Lycon pictus. A Lycon pictus is what it's called. See, I can understand why people would say that, but again, I had to do way too much research on how an African dog is depicted in ancient Egyptian, and it looks nothing like Set.
No.
He's got a very big, fat, bushy tail, very similar to how foxes are depicted in it. It kind of is very narrow, and then it bushes out. But yeah, African wild dawn is called a Lycon pictus, is the scientific term for it. I could understand it, because actually, I will say, I understand that slightly more than other things, because it has pointed ears. I feel like the best options for these have to be something with pointed ears, even if they are more squared. Like, I feel like it has to be kind of pointed. We were talking about, my personal theory is that it's actually a made-up animal or a combination animal, because he does have that curvy nose. I was pretty, before I heard this theory, which is a theory that has come out, that he is a made-up animal, I was very much on the aardvark side. For not really a good reason, it truly was the pointed nose. Like, it's really like that. It's just a little, well, honestly, he looks, you know what he looks like? He looks like Arthur. Everyone's seen the original Arthur? Like, if you ever see, I might have to pull up a picture. If no one has ever seen the Arthur books or the Arthur cartoon, before the actual TV show, the original Arthur, they were all aardvarks, and they have these very long, it's honestly creepy. I didn't really like it, which is, I think, probably why they changed it to have these just random, he just has a random head, and stuff. And so I think, especially when I look at Arthur, I completely forgot about that until right now, I think it looks like Set. But yeah, my personal theory is I think it's a combination god or a made-up god, because I do feel like there's something about the chaotic deity, and we already have precedent that the ancient Egyptians have made up combination gods. They've already made precedent for making up the colors of animals. Like, I mentioned that there is no black jackal in ancient Egypt, and there's not even a black jackal in real life that is that black. So I think I'm going with it's a made up animal, possibly a combination of like an aardvark and maybe a dog or a jackal and maybe a giraffe. I don't know. I'm kind of that's my side of it.
I'm just looking at the cute little aardvark
I know,
that I got.
Yeah.
I'm just like,
yeah. And what was yours, Amber, again, that you think? Your closest guess, because it is hard.
Yeah, my closest guess was like close to that Saluki dog, and just because I saw the picture of it with the red coat, and I'm like, oh, and it has like the similar body, and I'm like, oh, that's close.
Yeah.
And they do kind of have like the longer snouts, and like, if I could see one in real life and just love up on it.
I was gonna say, I feel like it's closer to a the borzoi dogs, the ones with the really long faces.
Yeah.
I feel like that.
Yeah.
I feel like that dog. The
Yeah.
one that was the trend that was what did I do it for you? The poor little thin. I saw one in real life the other day, and I was like, what is that? That is like, it looks like an alien, and I feel like that's so funny, because honestly, if they had pointed ears, that looks like Set. That dog does look like Set. And Salukis do kind of have the long...
They do.
Tapper historian. That is a lowbrow pun, but it's so funny.
I'm gonna laugh.
It's a good one. It's a good one. I mean, believe me, we love those jokes. We absolutely love those detailed jokes.
Yes.
Scrolling back up, Open Set I have a random copy of Raymond Faulkner Book of the Dead. Is it continued, decent, outdated, or whatever? Okay, I'm trying to think of Raymond Faulkner. I use Faulkner's dictionary. Right? Don't I use a Faulkner dictionary? I think I do. Where's my digital? I have a digital version that somebody translated digitally. Name and hieroglyphs. This is Faulkner, right? Yeah, it is Faulkner.
I have Faulkner's Book of the Dead.
I was gonna say that's what Open Set has. So Faulkner is a little bit old, I would say, but I'm gonna say it's not nearly the worst. Yeah, written by Raymond O. Faulkner. When was this dictionary written? This was written 2002, so he actually might still be alive. No, actually, that's probably fine. I think that's probably pretty good. I mean, he made a very good Middle Egyptian dictionary, so I would say it's definitely not the worst. Don't do anything with Budge. Run away from Budge. Unless, I will say this, the thing that my professor told me, the only thing that you can understand for Budge is if you're going off of his drawings of some sort of Egyptian text. So, like, you can only go off of his writing down all the different hieroglyphs just as the hieroglyphs. You cannot go by his translations. But the hieroglyphs are fine, as long as you are doing the translating, but that's obviously not what everyone can do. That was something we did in class and stuff. But yeah, run away from Budge. But I actually own quite a few Budge books because I do purposely buy them so that no person will accidentally read them thinking that they're accurate. So I do have like at least 4 Budge language books in my collection. I just don't want to. I just don't want anyone else to buy it. That is true, Rahab. Rahab mentioned that it might be a rabbit, because that is, I'm definitely very leaning towards rabbit ears or donkey ears for like my modified multi-animal. The donkey keeps growing on me more than the aardvark, but I feel like it's also still a combination, because donkeys, their face isn't that like curved and stuff.
They're cute.
Yeah, they are cute. Absolutely.
Aardvarks are really cute too. Like, have you seen a baby aardvark?
I don't think I actually have, and I might have to Google that right now.
You should. You should.
Oh, Dapper Historian, asking me the deep questions. How did the ancient Egyptian economy compare to their direct neighbors? No idea. I hate to say it. Just gonna confess. Not my style. I'm an art historian, sir. I am not. It's gotta have that art in front of it. I do not know. Especially I do not know how an economy works when they don't have money. That's another good thing that I truly don't think I mentally can understand.
Fair. I think the Warframe is actually depicted with Anpu.
Oh, but yeah, not said. But
because
Anpu.
he doesn't have, they don't have the squared ears.
They do get mixed up pretty commonly.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, Faulkner's translation of Papyrus of Ani. Yeah, I think Faulkner is pretty recent. I might have to Google him. I think he might be still alive. Oh god, Dapper Historian. That was a joke. I knew it was a joke. Why didn't I? It's involved. I've heard they were involved in pyramid schemes. Yeah. I should have known that was a joke. I was like, I feel like this is a joke. This is a very specific. But Dapper Historian's also historian, so I should have. I've tried to trust it.
That's hilarious. That's amazing.
Yeah. No, Florian, it was a barter system, and they did pay their employees, but they paid them with food, and living expenses. So, yeah, but this was a joke. Dapper Historian's baiting me. Bread and beer all day. Well, actually, it's not even bread and beer. They just give you wheat, and then you have to go and take it to get it made into bread or beer. Yeah.
Oh, that's frustrating.
I know, it's a little frustrating.
It's frustrating.
Except I know, it's kind of a weird thing to think about. Sorry, Florian, you said McDonald's is a good food group, is a food group, and I just heard that the guy who was in the Super Size Me documentary from the 90s just died. And I'm like, I don't think it is. Did anyone ever have to watch that? If you're an American in high school, did you ever have to watch the Super Size Me documentary? I had to watch I had to watch both parts, but I was sick on the second day, so I didn't have to watch the gross part. Apparently it gets gross. I have no idea what happens, but because he gets sick of it. He just eats it for I don't think it's a year. Does he eat it for a year? I don't know. He eats McDonald's exclusively for a long amount of time. I've only seen the beginning part where he was kind of enjoying it. You read that the documentary was fake, Lena? That's blowing my mind. Dapper! Where are you pulling these puns from? They're so specific. The fruit of the tomb.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Florian, anyone who had a gluten sensitivity was completely screwed in ancient Egypt. Because all they're eating is bread and beer.
Rip me.
Rip, yeah. Rip me. Probably me too. I don't even have a gluten intolerance, or I don't think I do, but I'd be dead. I think that'd be bad. Yeah.
I just found out that I kinda do, so I'm like, oh no.
I know. I don't think I haven't had official that I do, but I've had 2 friends who essentially, one just stopped to see what it would do to her health, and she seems to be doing great, and then another one stopped to do it with like her skin. Like she had really bad skin and she seems like it's doing better. And I'm just like, I don't want to do it though. Well, to be honest, I don't eat a lot of bread. It's only increased slightly because I eat an English muffin every morning. Because I don't eat a lot of breakfast food. But I do love pasta. It'd be the pasta that would kill me.
There is good gluten-free pasta. I'm just saying.
I've only tried one and it was really bad.
Oh no.
But it wasn't. I was thinking it was the Brillo one, and I just like tried it, and I was like, why does it taste like cardboard?
No.
And it would fall apart like cardboard. If you boiled it too long, it would just like fall apart. I was like, okay.
You gotta be careful with it.
Dapper's asking me a question, and I'm curious if it's a joke. I knew that coffee came from the Middle East and was used in ancient Egypt too, or did it come later? I don't know if we have any evidence that coffee was in Egypt, but I don't also think coffee is from the Middle East. I thought coffee was from South America. No, I was right. I did hear they were decaffeinated. I keep falling for these things.
That's fantastic.
Decaffeinated. A Big Mac every meal of his life, and he's doing well. Cool. Good for you, dude. Sweet Jade! Oh, I'm so glad you're here. 1 year, amazing.
Ooh.
Welcome. So good jokes. That is true, yes. And I wonder, though I'm not sure, Lena, is that because of colonialism? Did they get coffee from South America? I'm pretty sure. Yeah. I don't know either. I think it's only from South America. It's the same thing with like tomatoes in Italy. Ancient Romans didn't have tomatoes, and potatoes in Ireland. Irish people didn't have potatoes until colonialism. It always like breaking an Italian person's heart. But I'm like, nope, you didn't do it. You didn't have those. No, you didn't have those until literally like a couple hundred years ago. Like, pizza was not invented in Italy because you didn't have tomatoes. All right. Any last questions before we let Amber go? Because it is quite late, and I am driving to Southern Virginia tomorrow morning, so I do need to get some sleep. But again, like, the VOD will be up that you could watch the rest of the lecture, and then it will be on YouTube, but do not promise me that it will be anytime soon, because I'm not very productive on putting them on YouTube. Technically, all of the ones from last season are uploaded on YouTube. I just haven't published any of them because I haven't had the time to do it and stuff. So I wanted to edit them down a little bit so they weren't as long. But I hate editing, so I'm procrastinating it. But yes, please, absolutely, Rahab. I'm gonna do a shout out for Desert Rose Goddess.
Thank you, Lena. I appreciate you. I appreciate everyone. Thank you.
Oh, I did the shout out wrong. Hee hee. I know how to stream.
Thank you.
No! I spelled something wrong. Damn it. What did I spell wrong? I'm wearing these fake nails, and they are not letting me type correctly.
It's alright, they're cute. That's what matters.
They're very cute. They've fallen off so often. I've been doing another 15 minutes. Well, you got a shout out last 15 minutes ago, and apparently I can't give you another one. So, but go follow Desert Rose Goddess. She plays fun games here on stream. Wait, go back.
I was currently doing Assassin's Creed Origins, so.
Yay! We always love Assassin's Creed.
I'm looking forward to the one that's coming out soon.
Oh, I'm so looking forward to that one. I'm
so
so excited. I'm so excited. I was gonna say, you should try to apply to be a Ubisoft partner, because I got in way too easy, and I got a free copy of Mirage, so you should apply, because I don't know how I did, but I'm very excited.
Send me the links, bestie.
Yes, I will. Send me a reminder to remind you to send you the link, but yes, I will.
Now I'm gonna have to send myself a reminder to remind you. Because I get so caught up in doing all my Patreon stuff, and I get so caught up with like playing games with my husband, and we're going to go play Baldur's Gate here in a little bit. So,
So Rahab had a question, which we briefly talked about, but Rahab said, "I've seen depictions of Set with blue hair instead of red. Was there any particular reason for that?" I have a slight answer, but you go ahead first if you have an answer for that.
I don't know any kind of reasons other than artistic reason.
The only reason I would think that he would ever get blue hair is just because of the general way that the ancient Egyptians believed the gods were depicted, in which gods' bones were made out of silver, skin was made out of gold, and hair was made out of lapis lazuli. Which is why when you look at King Tut's and a lot of like kings, they are depicted with the gold skin, the blue hair, and you can't see the silver bones, but that's part of obviously some sort of text which tells us that. So if he's got blue hair, I'm assuming they're just saying, "You're God." Like that's pretty much it.
That's probably absolutely the reason.
I wouldn't think of any other reason, because you're right. No. Like there's a lot of like, you wouldn't see like Anubis with blue hair or anything, but like sometimes that if that happens, that would probably be one of the main reasons. Oh, Ghost of Tsushima. Yeah, I know. There's also Ghost of Tsushima, and then there's the other one that my friend Megan was playing like 2 years ago, which is also in Japan and samurais, but it's not called Ghost of Tsushima, and I don't remember what it's called, but there's another game that looked just like Assassin's Creed that was also, I just can't remember what it was, but it's maybe 2 to 3 years old or so. So yeah, that was a depiction of specifically on a solar barge. Yeah, I don't know if that, I think that's probably, Anubis isn't bald.
No.
I don't think he is. Anubis' hair is Anubis isn't bald. I don't think he's bald. I don't know, I'm sorry.
I'll have to look.
The thing about a bald spot on Anubis is making me laugh.
Well, no, poor Ampu.
No. Yes, no, poor. Yes, he does. I think he does.
I mean, jackals have fur.
I know. Suddenly now I'm thinking, is like, are we thinking he's like a hairless black dog, like a hairless black jackal? I didn't think about that before. But his tail is kind of bushy in some depictions. I think he's got fur.
Oh, Neil.
Kitty
cat. I know.
They do, but I think, well, unless he's like the human mixture. Cat.
Cat.
Maybe he caught mange and can't help it. Well, the funny thing about it is that we were talking about this earlier. There is no black jackal. We have identified. There's like a whole really stupid long paper about like the scientific of like identifying what species of jackal we believe were in Egypt at that time, but there is no black jackal at all, in which they are depicted totally black, like we're talking a black cat black. They are at best like these salt and pepper gray and black kind of patterned jackals, so the color really has nothing to do with the accuracy of the animal. The color is more spiritual. Because they have black. The color black is associated with fertility and rebirth and a lot of different other things, and death and all of that different stuff. So it must be like a mummified jackal's head. Huh? I don't. Yeah, Rahab, if you know where that's from, that's very interesting. Because. But you're right, Baha, that they have black skin under their fur. Yeah, I don't know what a jackal's skin looks like under their fur. I have never thought about this thing of him being hairless. It is really weird. Huh. Yeah, if you find it, Send it my way. That's very interesting.
Wrap up on my mic.
Okay. I think we're gonna go let Amber go because I'm about to fall asleep and I still have to take a shower before tomorrow. I haven't shaved. No. Why would you say that, Maha? No. Absolutely
We just
not.
have a jackal.
Just where am I gonna get a jackal at this hour? So everyone say thank you again to Amber, and then we will go find somebody to go pass this lovely raid on. I hope everyone enjoyed, and check out Amber's streams. And Amber, you're just gonna have to come back again for season 3. You have to think of another topic to talk about.
I'll talk more about set. Let's go.
Yeah, let's go. We'll find more examples, and this will be great. This will be so great. So, bye, Amber.
Thank you guys so much.
We'll see you guys
Thank
later.
you guys. Love you.